Hello and welcome to episode 14. On today's episode, I spoke with Kevin Berry. Kevin is a brown belt at my gym, Supremacy BJJ in Largo, Florida. He also runs his own podcast called Talking Jit with Acai, and I was a guest there multiple times. It was a Tuesday night, and we decided to record last minute, and so we jumped on a call and talked for 2.5 hours. What did we talk about? Well, I announced the launch of my new project called Trophy Wall. We spoke about the path from zero to launch and what that took in terms of product development, branding, and overall goals. We also spoke about struggles with search for meaning and purpose in our everyday lives, career transitions, work-life balance, and jiu-jitsu, obviously, um, and many other topics. In fact, it was less talking jits and more talking life. I think you'll enjoy this one. Os. All right, here we are,
What's up, man?
10 p.m. on a Tuesday night, impromptu meeting.
Yeah, right. There I was, just chilling all by myself,
Yeah, learning how to fly drones and shit.
and the Dave signal came off.
That's right.
I had
That's
to
right.
report to duty.
Yep. Had the berry in the sky, and here you are.
the acai fruit.
Yeah, seriously. No, man, it's been actually a while since I recorded. I think my last recording was like December 15th, maybe mid-December. Then I went on vacation, and then New Year's happened, and then time just kind of escaped.
Dude, it happened so fast. You know, it's random you did this because I just like a few hours ago, for whatever reason, when you and I were texting, I like went to my fridge and I'm like, I wonder if he's still recording. I'm like, but you got a big project going on, so it
Yep.
makes sense if you're focusing on that.
Yeah, kind of went into a completely other direction. I thought I'd never work again. And here I am trying to fucking find a job for myself.
Oh, you really thought you're gonna like be retired?
No, I need something
Oh,
else to do. I'm just kidding.
oh,
I,
okay.
there's no way I'm retiring.
I didn't for 1 second hear you say like you were done. It has
No.
always been on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's on to the next thing. It's weird because I think it took me a while actually to kind of get the itch back because
Mhm.
after running that last company for 11 years, I just kind of got burnt out and I basically didn't want to do shit for like months. I'm like, if I start something else, like I essentially have two routes. I can either find a job or I can start something else. And so I tried looking for a job, just kind of randomly applying to things just to see what's out there. There's not much, as you know, because I think you've been applying to things as well.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yep. And I got actually a couple of interviews, but I actually just got the rejection the other day from this last one.
Oh, really? They actually sent a rejection?
Yeah,
That's
it's
that one's probably a good thing, I think.
yeah. I'm not moving to Vegas. I'm living here.
Oh, nice. Dude, it's look, man, and it's funny that you're doing this and we're on this subject as well. I'm starting to think energy's aligning because I was supposed to hear back from one that you know about today, and
Mm-hmm.
it's one that's just been kind of dragging along.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know if this is just how corporate works. It's very slow. I don't know if you're just supposed to express interest to everybody you talk to. Like, it's been like, I pretty much thought this was a done deal last week where I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, you and I were texting. I said, all right, well, you know what? I'm at the mindset now where I got to create a job. It's
Right.
just plain and simple. Like, I've been wanting to play the safe route because I got kids and all that shit. And now I'm kind of like, you know what? I got to create something to make myself happy. And then they reached out that day and said, we'll reach out to you Tuesday, which is today at the
Mm-hmm.
time of this recording.
And nothing.
So I came back home and I said, okay, well, hey babe, you know all that shit that I told you about is my backup plan that is now like my front plan, my plan A. She's like, yeah. I said, well, they told me they're gonna reach out on Tuesday. So
Mm-hmm.
if I get the job, I'm gonna go with it, and I'm just gonna stack some money and work for somebody for a couple of years and just grind it out and just try to get as much as I can and just be money focused, and we'll work around that as a family. She said, okay, and they didn't fucking hit me up today.
Oh no,
so
that sucks.
so so I was like, all right, well, I told her if they don't hit me up on Tuesday, then I'm just gonna go with, you know, plan A/B/Z. I don't know what plan I'm on at this point, but it's a weird
Yep.
period of time, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out what the universe wants from you. And I don't know. See, it's weird because it's like if you don't do the work, then essentially God doesn't send you the signal. But then
Hmm.
if you do the work, is that the signal, or are you just kind of getting in the way of the universe's plans? It's like I'm not sure how to think about it properly because it's like either side is fucked up, right?
Yeah, it's like, do you grind your ass off and get zero, like very horrible diminishing returns for your energy, or do you sit back and let it come to you? Which is like, I don't think most successful people will tell you that. You just sit back and wait for it, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to grind it out, and whatever door opens, you essentially walk through it or you don't walk through it. But when it opens, you should be ready to walk through some door.
Yeah. What is it
Because
like?
it's like it's both. It's luck and skill, right? Because it's like
Yep.
you can have all the skill, but if the stars aren't aligning, like it's useless. But at the same time, if all these doors are opening for you and you can't take advantage, that's also a problem.
I had a deep shower thought process the other day too. And it's funny you say this because in a different perspective, I was in the shower thinking about my like martial arts career, right? And I was like, man, we just did a private with like Connor Beebe,
That's
and
his
it was
actual
just
last name. Is that why it's called BB?
yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, it's a strange name.
It turns out he's from like he's got a pretty badass family, you know, because his brother was a WEC champ, I believe he said, and
Hmm.
he's got some athleticism in his family for sure. But it was like that feeling of being like, I always thought my wrestling was decent. Not I've never wrestled, but like I've gone against wrestlers in like matches or like they come in the gym. And anyway, like it felt so fucking dope to just see someone so many levels above us. Like him just coming and showing us what we wanted and just being like, dude, like it just sparked me in my head. And I was like taking a shower and I was like, man, I remember when Donald and I went on the MMA journey and how badly we wanted to be UFC stars. And this
Mm-hmm.
is early. This is early on. Like Forrest Griffin was like becoming a
Mm.
big name, like fresh off the Ultimate Fighter
This is like
days.
early 2000s or
Yep,
90s, late
yeah.
90s.
2000, like 6, 7,
Mm-hmm.
8, 9, like that area. And I just was like still to this day in my head, I think about like our like how we were, and I still think we had a shot, but it's not. This is where it's kind of similar to what you're saying. It's not just being athletic, and it's not just being a good fighter. It's also knowing the right promoters, getting the right fights, showing up in a good like on the right days, at the
Mm-hmm.
right like there's like so much more to the matrix than just being like a good fighter. Like that's why you know, you'll know football players or jiu-jitsu athletes that don't compete but are probably better than ones that do compete, or like some that might even be we might roll with people who are better than the ones that we see on TV, but like they just weren't at the right place at the right time around the right people, or they didn't have the right mindset, or they've got all the athleticism but just not the right mindset, or they don't
Or
have
maybe
the
they weren't
discipline,
interested. It's
or they
also
weren't
possible they
as
were just not interested. Yeah.
that as well. Like, and it's like it's crazy. It's not just one thing that gets you there. And that's what my like shower thing was the other day. It's like I think we definitely could have done it, but it we didn't because there's other factors than just wanting it and being willing to put everything into it. There's also a lot of other things. And I was just like, life's kind of like that too, man. Like you can have all the preparation in the world, but you gotta like, I don't know if it's luck, but like just being at the right opportunity or ready for the right opportunity and looking for the opportunity just as much as you are preparing for it, you know?
Yeah.
It,
Um, they say you don't know what worse luck your bad luck saved you from, right?
yeah, I guess that's true. I
And
can attest to that.
yeah, and so it's possible that, again, maybe the stars just didn't align for a reason, for a purpose. Because, I know a lot of people, for example, kind of dwell on past events and they're like, well, I wish I would have done that, or I wish things would have gone this way, or I wish, things turned out that way, or maybe I should have taken care of that opportunity and I didn't. It's like the only thing that could have happened is what actually happened, because had that not happened, something else would have happened.
Yeah.
There's only like one path that essentially got you here. And that's the only path that could have happened. Like all those other roadmaps essentially died with whatever choices that led you to this current place.
Yeah. And some people are late bloomers, some people are early bloomers. Like
Yeah,
I've seen some people like fresh out of high school or like early on, like hit success and hit runs, and then I've seen some people do who you never would have thought like end up with really lucrative, successful journeys later on that are even better than some of the ones.
typically not martial arts, because
No,
that
definitely
actually
not.
requires like a youthful body. Maybe you can write a book, maybe you'll write a bestseller, but I don't think you'll be an MMA fighter.
Maybe you'll create a hoodie that's a backpack.
There you go. Maybe it'll be a backpack that's a hoodie.
Oh my lord. I was like, what do you do with all the stuff that's in the backpack if you need a hoodie?
Pockets. That's what the
Just
pockets
hold
are
it.
for. That's
Just
what
hold
the.
it. Then you don't need a backpack.
That's right. That's right. Just leave it in your car, and you won't fucking need. And live in warm weather, and then you won't need the backpack or the hoodie.
It's a briefcase, but it's also a hat.
That's not bad.
You just hold your documents if you need shade.
All right, right. It's a shoe, and it's a binoculars. I don't know. Just start saying random shit now.
These are free $1 million ideas for the listeners too.
It's
So
all it's all execution.
you should always have a notepad when you listen to our us talk or our podcast, either one, just in case.
You
We're
don't know
here to
what.
spark. We're here to spark the youth.
That's funny. Yeah, you don't know what'll come up. Yeah, ideas are useless. It's just all execution. Can have a
Right.
million ideas, and I think I told you a whole bunch of them at like we were at Sal's party, and
Hmm.
a few months ago, and I think I gave you like 5 different ideas.
And a lot of them are good ideas.
Yeah, but you actually have to execute on them.
Yeah, man. It's I think I got my roadmap now. I think
Do you?
today was like a uh finally like one of those days where I'm like, all right, I finally have an idea where I want to go.
Is it
I
is
I've
it what
tried
I
to
should not say it is, or can we talk about it?
we can talk about it. I didn't know if you want to talk about your stuff or
We're
what.
gonna get to that. Let's talk about your stuff first.
Well, my issue is like some of the stuff is like not immediate returns. Like remember how we've talked about before where you're like, okay, I told you like overtime would be my only option for like more money right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not my only option, but like say immediately right now, if I wanted to march into the office and be like, I need opportunity right now, the timing's not right. So it would be like, hey, the only thing I can do is you can work more hours.
Right.
And then I was arguing with you saying working more hours takes away from family time, takes away from building my own opportunities. Like there's a balance you got to do, right? So the challenge I'm in, and you're always going to have a challenge, but the challenge I'm having is most of the stuff that I want to do isn't something that I could walk out today and start generating income, right?
But most things are like that. Like
A lot of things are like that.
I mean, again, unless we're talking like stripping, prostitution,
I just might
like
have to.
what's at hand essentially, right?
Oh, well, I think the tattoo thing is a good deal for me. Um, I apprenticed for a little bit out of high school. I reached out to the guy that I apprenticed through, who was also a good friend of mine. I bought a bunch of equipment and I started practicing last night. And it was like, although I sucked ass, as you could see, it's a lot of fun.
No, it's great.
So
Straight lines and everything.
I think, not really. Dude, it's tough, man. It's cool as shit. When I get it down, it'll be nice. But when I get control of that machine, yeah, definitely. It's really cool. So I think right now I'm thinking, I have two things. Well, I have three things in the fire still, but just practicing tattoos and slowly building up. I don't think I'll ever not be busy. I think I'll always have the opportunity to open up, shop or multiple shops. At those shops, I think it would be great to sell artwork. When I'm slow, I could still do my custom designs and commission art pieces that I get. And if even if I don't have a commission one, I still have a spot to hang them for potential sales. From there, depending on the recognition you get, there's always opportunity for branding and marketing, a brand if I ever want to build one. And that also gives you the freedom to go wherever you want to go. If I want to move out of this area, there's a lot of opportunity with it. Freedom of schedule. I mean, it kind of hits all the marks. I sat down. I mean, this type of stuff I like to share with viewers and stuff, just in case people like you and I read books.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people who we talk to read books or are like trying to help themselves. And I think one of the things behind that is just listening to how other people solve issues
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of taking it your way. But I made a lifestyle sheet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I wrote the lifestyle I want to live. This is a shout out to Chris because he was like, "What lifestyle do you want to live?" And I went home that night and I wrote down my lifestyle, my priorities, and I'll share this with everybody. So on my lifestyle list, I wrote, I want no debt. I want to have
Mm-hmm.
income properties. I want to have a maxed out Roth every year. I want to max out my Roth. I want to obviously be around to raise my kids. And I want to have the opportunity where Brittany can work part time or full time or whatever. So I want to be like the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
My priorities are a work life balance. So I want to be in control of, like, obviously, I'm not lazy. I'll work as much as I want. But if I need a grind, I like it to where, like, the more I work, I'm either building equity in myself or I'm getting more in return, right? Like it's kind of hard for me to like for the person sitting at the cash register all day. If there's no one coming through the line or if there's a bunch of people coming through the line, there's no difference in your pay. It's your
Right.
preference. Do you like not doing anything or do you like being busy, which makes the day go by faster? But then again, that makes me depressed because now my day went by fast for no reason. I didn't enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'm just trading my life away so I can walk out and breathe and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it. So and I want to make, you know, my goal is six figures. I want to be the boss. I want opportunity for growth and I want it to be something that I can enjoy or like make a difference, go home happy, right? So I wrote down all the opportunities I have right now, all the things that I've been looking for, all the things I've been applying to, and all the skills I have. And I kind of like made like I kind of made like checks and X's like on like what options gave me what, the pluses and minuses. And when I was like looking at maybe being a tattoo artist,
Mm-hmm.
it hit almost all of those. Um, the other option would maybe down the line like be a jiu-jitsu gym or like some sort of athletic gym,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not something that that's something I wouldn't be looking at for a couple years. So I'm gonna stay focused on what's at, like immediately in my grasp,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I got to share so far. I mean, there's more, but that's like the basis of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So essentially, you're talking about kind of freedom of time that is fueled by essentially money, right? Just enough money.
I want like yeah, and like it feels nice. Like I don't know if you want me to blow up what you're doing, but like it feels nice when you make like I want like lots of options. Like you always got to be like if I feel like you're gonna always have to work. Like especially if you're in charge, if you're self-employed, if you're doing it, like you always got to work, and that's fine. It's not like there's not very many opportunities where it's like, yeah, man, I just set up an Etsy store and I walked away. Now I make millions. It's like,
No, it
no,
doesn't
you would
work like
still
that.
have to manage. You still have to like grow. You still have to compete. But like, it's nice. Like if you go on vacation, you're still making sales somehow. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or but so that would be something nice too. But right now, that's where my focus is. I think, I think, turning like I think getting a couple places that are income properties and just no debt leads a lot of opportunity in itself too,
Yeah, no,
Low
that is a
cost
big
of
deal.
low cost of living, you know.
Yeah, it's what does it say? It's not how much you spend; it's how much you make. Low cost of living is on the spend side. So we want to be in a place where you don't have to worry about the cost of living because you're essentially bringing in a bunch of money.
That works too.
That works
If it's a,
better,
it does for sure, yeah.
right?
But say you're making six figures, but you're not spending very much to get by. Some people make six figures and they spend six figures to live.
You're gonna spend six figures to live if you make six figures. Because you're
You
gonna
think so?
want of course, you're gonna basically want better place. You're gonna want more activities for your kids. You're gonna want, your wife will want more things.
A new car.
Yeah, new car, better makeup, nicer clothes. You're gonna want to travel. That's not cheap. And then
So you're saying it's inevitable.
I think it's inevitable. It's very difficult to make a lot and spend little because the more you make, your not only your expectations go up, but your standard of living goes up because you're like, well, now that I have all this money, I have to kind of be at a certain standard.
Like keeping up with the Joneses, or are you just
It's
saying like
it's
it's
keeping
easier to
up.
say yes,
It's
like on
almost like keeping up with your own wants.
interesting, like not staying disciplined.
Yeah, it's like, look, if you can afford a bigger place, why wouldn't you? Let's say it's debt free.
Well, okay, so we can run through this
Because
because
once you start uh, getting opportunities to get more things, you start noticing more problems that you can solve with money.
okay, so
Because
that makes
right now,
sense.
maybe those problems are there, you're just kind of letting them fester, or you're ignoring that they're there because, like, what am I gonna do about them?
Yeah, that's interesting.
But they're they're,
So
they're accumulating, and they've accumulated.
so it's easier to say yes because I can afford it.
Correct.
Like I can afford to get rid of this problem. Yeah, I mean, there's something to that, but like I think you can like still scale. Like
Well, the other
you
question is,
you
let's say you do set up, uh, let's say you're making good money, six figures, and you're keeping your expenses low. How long are you going to keep
yeah,
doing that? Because at a certain point, you're like, look, man, I'm closer to death. I might as well start spending what I have
that's
because you
right.
can't take any other shit with you. So the question is, where do you draw the line between, can I afford it now or should I wait to afford it later? And then, the longer you wait, the less your money is worth because of inflation and, other things happening.
So maybe I got it wrong, but like say my place, right? My condo. Say we upscale, we get like another spot, right? I start making more money, we can afford a better house. So, but I rent this out.
Yeah, that's the way to do
That
it.
helps negate some of the expenses at the new place, which is obviously more expenses, but it also helps on a percentage scale. If you go by like numbers and percentages, maybe it works out to like my cost of living versus my income is about the same, but I'm still in a nicer spot because I've like made investments. Or say my cost of living, I factor in my Roth, which is where you're saying I'm going to die one day, but I've maxed it out and I made it pretty easy to afford for myself. Well,
Yeah,
when that day comes to max it out, I've got a pretty fat Roth,
sure.
or so like that's like kind of like the way I'm looking at it, and perhaps I'm wrong, but like
No, you're right. The
because
only thing you're missing is, what if something happens? Because, the assumption is something will happen if it hasn't yet. And so the question is, are we talking about a recession where, like, now you got a bunch of properties and now the value of those properties have gone down or nobody wants to live in there anymore? And now you got to, like, absorb all that rent or mortgage. And,
yeah,
that money has to come from somewhere. And
uh,
let's say the business isn't doing so well because the economy sucks. And so, like, that
yeah.
six-figure salary is, now a five-figure salary.
No one's buying tattoos now because they can't
Nobody's buying
afford them.
tattoos. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Everybody who could is
um,
all tattooed, and everybody who isn't,
that's
they're
when I start reading books on how to adapt,
right.
or I go find the busiest street corner and I take it over. I don't know, but yeah, I mean it's very true. If my cost of living is low, it's less of a problem. I
Correct. And
don't.
and again, as a dude, you might actually be able to do that. The problem is children and women because they always want more, and good for them because they're essentially pushing you to do better. The necessity is forcing you to make that six figures because you have people that want more activities and nicer things, even if you don't yourself.
And like I've seen it to where like I've had a few buddies who decide to do the stay-at-home mom routine, and that stay-at-home mom usually sits at home with the credit card and gets bored, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen, and that's kind of dangerous too. So, I don't know, man. There's so much to balance in life. It's it's who has the answer? I don't know. I mean, you're making really good points, but
Well, yeah, the answer is whatever you want to make it, because I
mhm,
think, for me at least, it's finding something you're very passionate about. It's finding, people call it purpose or meaning or something, like if you do something you love, you never have to work a day in your life type of thing. It's like, yeah,
that's
that's true to some degree. It's still fucking work, dude.
yeah.
However, you're going to enjoy it, especially if it brings money for
So
me, but it's not necessarily the same meaning for everybody.
the interesting thing is like, so what you just said. So early 20s, right? This is when I started having the anxiety attacks, which is part of the reason why I stopped training and doing MMA because like it
Mm,
was just weird. Uh, I was very passionate about it, and for whatever reason, I would show up with straight anxiety, and it started making going to the gym, doing what I love, like a dark thing. So
mm,
the new hobby I found was like fishing. I don't know why, but just I would go cast a line out with a bait and sit on the beach until like 4 in the morning and just sit there, and it was like calming. I don't know if that was like my zen. So long story short, my uncle was a commercial captain, or not a
mm-hmm.
commercial. I'm sorry. He
Charter?
was a charter boat captain, and so I started working on his boat when I had days off and stuff, and then it became more and more. I had the opportunity to get my captain's license and take his business, and
Mm.
I turned it down because I didn't want what I love to become my job. But
Seriously?
now,
That's strange.
yeah,
Why?
I don't. I was just worried that it would turn the work would ruin it, but here I am full circle and I'm like looking for shit that I enjoy. So it's kind
Correct.
of like I kind of look back at that like, was that a mistake? But I would have stood on that hill for years and said that's why I did it. I didn't like
Mm.
detailing cars. I hated it. I hated being in the sun all day, dripping sweat. Like I hated every time I cleaned a car, some fucking land crew would show up and start landscaping and mowing the lawn next door. Like almost every day. I would
Mm-hmm.
wash a car and I would watch these guys show up with a blower, and I'm like, how am I on the same schedule with these guys everywhere I go?
That's bullshit.
Like I don't like I used to take videos and pictures and send them to a couple of my friends and be like, bro, I'm not crazy. I'm not a victim mentality. Like this is really happening. I don't know how to solve this problem.
That's funny.
But
That's your calling. That's the universe telling you need to like move on to other things.
yeah, but like, and now here through all my experiences, I'm like, fuck, was that if I would have said yes and got the license, would that have set me up for like with or would I have, like you said, would I have found a bunch more problems? I don't know.
It's up and down. I'm telling you,
Mhm,
even when you find things that you love, doing them for too long, and I don't know where too long is, it's different for different people.
mhm.
You tend to just kind of like, what else? What else am I doing? What else is interesting? I mean, I personally get bored of doing the same thing, even if I love it.
Yeah, yeah. It could have been a mistake to turn that down. And here I am, like, kind of similar shoes to you. I had that. I mean, it wasn't like a multi-million-dollar company, but I made good money and it was fun and I was in charge. And Um, it was constant stress, but it was like good stress that I appreciated. It wasn't like stress where like I'd go home and be like, I am stressed and there's nothing I can do about it. And I
Hmm.
gotta wake up and go there again tomorrow and deal with the shit again. So the only answer to the stress is not giving a fuck about what you're doing, which is like the opposite of what they're paying me for, which to me is like fraud. Like so I end up in these like crazy vicious circles. But now so I kind of miss that, but now here I am like, man, I need to find something that somewhat I enjoy. Like I can go out. I feel fully confident I could go out and install sprinklers for a living and make a company or mow lawns or build fences or whatever. And it's just not something that like would make me want to give me purpose.
Yeah, but how do you know what you enjoy? It's like what is it making? Like, let's say you do something and you like it, but it's not bringing any money.
There's
Or
a
let's say it's
balance.
or it's bringing money, and then you're like, it's nothing special.
There's a balance. That's why that's why my goal is like six figures. Whereas you would have talked to me years ago, and I'd tell you I'm going to be a multimillionaire and fucking do whatever. Like you would talk to me maybe 5 years ago, I would have done anything that would build me a multi-million dollar company, and I would have been fine with it. Like if you would have told me selling insurance would I could build a firm that would make me, seven figures a year or whatever, I would probably have been like, that's what I got to do. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna do. But here I am. I don't know if it's like I'm old or gather wisdom or if I'm just delusional, but here I am at this point, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can have a good lifestyle with six figures, and I think I can. I it doesn't mean I'm limited to it, but it's
Low
just
six
as like,
figures or high six figures? What are we talking about here?
yeah, I know, and that's a
The
broad
difference the
range,
difference is
right?
like $899,000.
Yeah, right. I'm over here.
That's your range.
I'm talking about 99999.
Yeah, it's if only, that's all I need. God. that's that's all I need,
Yeah,
baby.
and with my luck, by the time this goes out, like 100,000 a year would like is nothing.
Yeah, it's already
You
not
know,
a lot.
yeah, it's crazy because like if you would talk to me back then, I'd be like, it's good money, it's really good money, and now I'm kind of like,
It's all
it's good
right.
money if you got, yeah, it's good money if you got like other shit set up or you know how to set it up, which I
Yeah.
think is also part of the trick. We'll find. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm fully confident in myself. I'm not like sitting here thinking like I'm fucked, bro. I'm just gonna, you know, like I'm still gonna grind. I'm still gonna build. I'm very confident, but like, I mean, I've talked to you nonstop about this.
Oh, I know, dude.
It's the number one thing that gets me every day is like it's my PTSD.
What do I
You
do?
know,
What do I do? Where do I
what
go?
do I do? This and
Yeah. Things
you
are,
const
things are never as bad as you think they are, and they're also never as good as you think they are.
That's very true.
It's always kind of like, I have a
Put a
friend who
lot of
says
pressure on myself,
I have a
dude.
friend who says life is a zero sum game, and I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand what he's saying.
I think I just put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think that's just part of my personality. Right now, it's a little bit more pessimistic than normal, but I'll soothe that out
Yeah.
pretty soon in
See,
the next year,
you've been
the
doing a
next
lot of
year or two.
LinkedIn submissions and nothing's happening, and so the pessimism is kicking in.
No, I think the pessimism is just I don't think I have the temperament for what I'm doing. Could I conquer it? Yes, but I just don't have the passion to do it.
What about tattooing?
No, about my current
Oh, the current job.
uh yeah, it's just
It's a job,
it's
man.
and it's a job.
That's all it is.
Some people settle for that. Some
Oh yeah.
people like there's people in the office and bless them, man. Like there's just different. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy. I could be crazy, but I could also be
Sane.
uh, sane. But
Correct.
some people do. They don't mind it. Like some people love that security, and that's awesome. Like if you wake up and feel secure and happy with like all I got to do is get in my car, walk in the door by 9 o'clock. I walk out at 5 o'clock. I know what I'm gonna make. I know what I'm gonna do. Like that. That's what kind of got me in there because from like running my business and shit, I'm like, man, part of me was like, man, it does sound kind of nice to like just not
Chill.
have,
Have
yeah,
have a steady thing.
just like
Yeah.
not like have a bunch of shit in my phone ringing and you never know what's around the corner. It kind of does sound nice to like just walk in a place and like, you know, have one objective. But
Except for it's never one objective. It starts with one objective and it becomes a
I
bunch
think
of
that's
objectives, and none of them are none of them are well put together.
for me, yeah, I
Well,
feel
just
like
in
that's
general, I
how
think all jobs are like this, dude. Like,
I don't know if you're pushing carts. It's like, all right, you just go
I
push
mean,
carts.
you're not making six figures pushing carts unless it's your
Oh,
parents' store.
there are. I don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, does a McDonald's manager they do pretty well, right?
No,
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I like, yeah, I don't know, man. And honestly, dude, I think it might be part of my personality. I don't think I ever settle. And I think it's like kind of a plus and a minus. I think it's like I'm always pushing and I'm always wanting better.
But also
And
never
it's,
happy. Never content.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't call
it's like
it. I wouldn't call it happy. I'd call it content.
maybe that's for the later years in Kevin's life.
Yeah,
Maybe I
yeah.
find my spiritual happy. Maybe I go on my ashwagandha or what? No, my maybe
Ayahuasca.
I go on my Costa Rica journey and come back enlightened. I don't know.
Come back and become a captain.
I
Plot
go,
twist.
I'm gonna go find that fucking boat.
Get a boat, get a license, and just, you know,
All right, guys.
go do charters.
Look, you're the first mate now. I am the captain.
Right.
You don't. Yeah, you guys never popped the top on this pony.
Yeah, maybe that's the calling. Maybe that's this is your 40 years in the desert, and then you're gonna come to your calling of becoming a charter captain.
Dude, talk about a sketch job. That's a whole lot of responsibility, man. Being like 20 miles out, random storm pops up. Now you're in like
Yeah.
6 to 8 foot waves on a boat full of people who would trust you.
They shouldn't have. They signed the waiver.
Bro, I'll tell you like one story. We were like out there fishing, and this was like a group of bachelors, and they went out partying the night before. On our way out, like offshore, they're showing us like pictures of all the shot glasses like stacked up on the bar and all the empty beer cans. One dude's already throwing up before we even get in the out of the intercoastal. He's throwing up on the side of the boat. So it's just a funny crew, cool dudes, and it looked like nothing was wrong. Like just a normal day, probably about 20 miles offshore, and we anchor up, start fishing for grouper. The ocean's like still. We're like, man, it's a nice day. All of a sudden, it's like the boat's going up and down,
Hmm.
up and down. I'm like, okay, it's getting wavy. And then I'm like, there's no boats. Like, what the fuck is going on? Then I'm noticing like when the boat goes down, the wave is like higher than me.
Oh no
Like
shit.
I'm
That
I could
sucks.
yeah, and I'm like, this is getting intense. And the other funny thing is, so like I was like relatively new at this point, so like part of the hazing on the boat was like I had to pull the anchor every fucking time. Like get on the front of the boat and pull this heavy ass anchor up,
How big was this boat?
34 feet,
Okay, so it's
a
nice. It's
34
a good
foot
size.
Dorado. Yeah, yeah. It was like one of those ones where the back of the boat was like big and open,
Hmm.
plenty of space to fish out of, but the front of the boat was kind of like covered,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like a big galley you could go into, but it's pretty sick setup. But like they made me pull that fucking anchor every time. And what sucks about the anchor is it's all rope, so you got grip. But once you get tired, because it's like so long and heavy, the last little bit is wet stainless steel chain. So it's like
Mm.
nothing. It's like pulling soap up, but it's the
You
last
wear
part you don't
gloves?
want. No, just bear it. Like it's like all right, we got to pull the anchor. So it's just part of like the funny like hazing and shit. But and I didn't. I thought that was just the way the boat was. I never asked about it. I just did it.
Uh
And
huh.
so this day, all of a sudden, the waves are getting fucking crazy. And I like look at my uncle, and I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna pull anchor. You know, we gotta get going." And like basically, the sea was turning, so we had to get the fuck out of there. It got so like it was like eight, dude. It was sketch. Like every time we went down a wave, like I'm just feeling like looking up, like holy shit, I'm surrounded by water. Like
Damn.
it was scary as shit.
Yeah.
And they throw a buoy on the fucking they throw a buoy on the anchor rail and just this big orange ball, and he just starts driving, and you're just pulling in the slack. The ball is pulling the anchor up,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just pulling the slack. I'm like, where the fuck has this been? But he was in a hurry. He was getting sketched. But so we're driving back, and this boat, like I said, we're going up, down. It starts raining so hard, I can't see like my hand. Like I can barely see off the side of the boat. Like I don't have any vision. It's like a wall
That's
of
crazy.
water.
Was it
Yeah,
summer?
I think so. Yeah, and we're like cruising back, and there, it's very like it was very humbling to feel like fuck, like Mother Nature is
Way bigger than you.
holy shit, bro. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything around me. It was dark. The waves were going up and down. Like you're just like there's no one coming. Like you just feel like in the middle, and there's so powerless. And, and I'm sitting there like looking at my uncle, and he looks content. So I'm like, okay, we're good.
He knows
We're
what's
good.
up. Uh huh.
Yeah, he knows what's up. He's used to this. And then like we're going back and back and back, and it gets a little sketchy. And all of a sudden we see like another boat pretty nearby, and the boat comes up to us. And I think they did it for comfort. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
think like there's anything sketch. I think they just wanted like someone nearby just in case.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was going the whole time, dude. It was intense as shit. I'm sitting here thinking like we're gonna like because a couple times we went down and I saw like the nose of the boat like hit the
Like
wave,
hit the
you know, and
water,
I'm like,
huh?
yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that could go wrong right now. If we turn sideways, it could like tip the
Yeah,
boat.
I can start right.
And we finally get like inland, like more shallow. We get out of the bullshit and we're like going in like the intercoastal. I looked at my uncle and I'm like, dude, that was fucking like him and I were whispering back and forth with the guys behind us. I'm like, that was sketch, man. And he was like all cool about it. And then when I'm cleaning the boat later, I was like, man, I can't believe like you were so calm. He's like, dude, I was shitting bricks. I thought we
Damn.
were dead. He told- I'm like, good thing you didn't show that because the only thing that kept me comfortable was the fact that he looked like he was in control, dude. And he was like, man, I was shitting bricks. He thought we were gonna die.
Yeah.
He was like holding the EPIRB and shit. Like he was about ready to just like call the Coast Guard in
Good for
and
him.
try. Yeah, I know, man. I was like, man, and that came out of nowhere. There was no warning. It was like it just looked like a nice day. That shit can like turn on you pretty fast.
Yeah, for sure. In the in
Like
the in the middle of the water, not knowing where to go.
20 miles out, how the fuck do you find
It
everybody?
that's a lot, man. That's like what, probably an hour drive, ride.
Easily, yeah, yeah. Especially on that big old diesel thing, you'd be like floating around. I was like thinking about that. I'm like, if we fall off, like everyone's probably gonna float different directions. And like, when can it's not like the Coast Guard can come out right now.
No, who's gonna call him?
The EPIRB.
Oh yeah, will it?
Yeah, if that that's your saving grace,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably going to go to the guy with the
Mm-hmm.
EPIRB. So you got to stay close to him or get that EPIRB.
That's crazy. Yeah, just grab
I
onto
know.
something. Put a life vest on and, pray.
Yeah, sketch as hell, man.
Yeah.
That's one of those adventures where I look back on. I'm like, that could have easily gone south.
See, fun memories. When you're a captain, you can tell those stories again.
Yeah, man.
Right in the
I just
captain's
live to
log.
tell the tale. Start telling it at jiu-jitsu practice. There I was,
There it was, yeah.
cornered, cornered by
Among the waves.
among the
We
waves.
can use ChatGPT to write up a story in Morgan Freeman voice, as if it's a narration of Discovery Channel.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
Yeah.
Would you say like you can do that because they're a public figure, or is that going to be can you get sued for that? Copyright.
No, I think you can do that. I mean, what do you're essentially just using the voice. It's not like his voice is patented or anything or copyrighted. It's just
I
like,
think
and I'm sure he's not the only one speaking like that. There's plenty of dudes on Discovery Channel or Nature Channel who kind of do these documentaries, and that's basically the type of narration.
I think it's so funny that like Joe Rogan said that people were making commercials with him endorsing their brands.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
funny.
that's crazy. Deep
People
fakes.
are like, yeah, I'm not hesitating, bro. I'll get Joe Rogan to use my supplement.
That's funny. This metal mount.
Oh yeah, yeah, enough about me, bro. Let's talk about your journey over here.
Yeah, so I'm launching another business, and again, this is just kind of came out of nowhere because I think for a couple of months I wasn't even looking at doing anything. I was just sort of cruising along, enjoying my break, and the fuck happened? I'm not even sure what happened. I think I won Tampa Open, and I brought that medal home. And actually, I brought the medal to the gym, and I'm like,
This is ugly.
this is ugly. Our wall looks like shit. These Amazon frames don't really give those medals justice because the medals look nice. And so I'm like, let me try to search for it online and see if there's anybody out there selling metal mounts. And actually found a couple of guys on Etsy. They're a little more intricate. There's some dude selling like wooden ones, kind of universal mounts, and I couldn't find anything on Amazon other than the square frames where like you hang the metal in and it's like sitting under plexiglass and everything. And I'm like, let me see if I can engineer something cool here. And the original idea was actually to cut, so it's basically acrylic sheets that are cut down into a shape of a 8 by 10 frame with rounded corners, and the original idea was to bind multiple layers of acrylic together, where the top layer is precision cut to the shape of the metal, and then the bottom side essentially has a mounting hole and a slot to hide the lanyard behind. And so as I started engineering this thing, took a while to figure out how I'm gonna hang it, because there's the lanyard and then there's the metal. And so how much of a lanyard do you have showing and how much do you have hidden? And then how do you secure the lanyard in the back of the frame so it doesn't hang below the frame once it's mounted on the wall? And then how do you cut um, the outer piece of the frame to hold the metal inside? And once I figured out how to do that, then another problem came up where once you actually attach the thing to the wall, the lanyard's in the way, or the metal, because the wall is not straight every time, or
Mm-hmm.
because the mount that you're using to bind that um, frame to the wall isn't sitting straight. The frame is like at an angle, and so the metal comes out from that die cut, because even though multiple let's say IBJJF open metals are the same shape, they're slightly different. There's a manufacturing tolerance, because when I think the way they make those metals is die cast. So they probably pour they make a mold and then they pour hot metal into that mold, and it solidifies, and then they take it out of the mold, and um, there's like probably pieces of extra material, peeking out from the mold and shit. And so each metal is slightly different. There's like a millimeter of tolerance all the way around it, because I took several metals that are IBJJF open, and I'm starting to cut the shape of the metal into the frame, and then I put it in, one fits and the other one doesn't. So I'm like, fuck. And so that was one
It's
one problem. And so basically that took me like 2 months to figure out that that may not be the right route, because there's just too many issues with the product itself, right? And again, so even going back to the business, not the product, you and I talked about launching businesses, and
mhm.
that we shared books back and forth. And I think one of the books I gave you Build, and I gave you Unreasonable Hospitality, and I gave you this other one that you just returned. What was that
Build,
called?
get real,
Getting Real. Yeah,
getting real, getting real.
it was written by
Solid book.
Dudes by 37 Signals. It's a short book, and it's a good read. It's basically like um, short stories and quick chapters about how to launch a web application, but it's very relevant to launching a business. And I read that book actually when I started the paper tube company. That essentially is
Oh
the
shit.
path. Yeah, that's exactly the same path I took
I
when
w-
launching the tube company.
I wondered why you had that book.
Yeah,
Like I was like,
I gave the original away, and then I actually ended up buying it because I forgot
because
how
you know
good
my
that book
project.
was, and then I
You
ended
know
up
the
buying it, and then I gave it right away to you to read. So I actually didn't
yeah,
get a chance to read it again.
that book's perfect for what I'm doing in the background. Yeah, for sure. But I was wondering when I was reading, it, I'm like, wonder why David what got David into this book, because it's not necessarily a field you're aiming for. It's still a really good book.
Yeah, it's more. I came across that book because I was following the guy's blog. That This was like early 2000s, so this is way before current marketing and the current internet, essentially, where like everything, Chat GPT, obviously, and all those other things.
Hmm.
Um, since that book, other books have come out, like Build, for example, which is a similar trajectory that's aimed at physical products, because that dude built Nest, and
Is
this
that the
one is
same guy?
no, it's a different guy, uh,
Okay.
different guy, but the concepts are exactly the same. Anytime you're launching a business or you're launching a new endeavor, you have to kind of make a minimum viable product, and so that minimum viable product has to be quick and easy and simple and sort of very bare bones in terms of core functionality. And so, when you're making design choices, because you can make a million design decisions and add extra features and, add the bells and whistles to the product, especially, web applications or even physical products. If they're, tech products, for example, you can add all kinds of shit to them. But every one of those decisions essentially make the project more inflated, and so you're delaying launching until you have all those kinks worked out. So obviously, the more features, the more potential kinks, and the more money and time you're spending before you even launch it. And how do you actually know whether the product is going to be, or a business is going to be, a success without getting it out in the field? You don't know, because it lives in your head and it's in its ideal form. And every creator falls in love with their creation,
Yeah.
and I don't like that concept, because what the fuck do I know? Just because I like it doesn't necessarily mean the market is going to like it. And so my personal path has always been, let me build something basic but good,
Yeah.
like well put together but basic. Let me get it out in the world, and let me gather some feedback. And if nobody actually wants it immediately, then I pass on the idea and I move on to other things. But if people start giving me feedback and they're like, well, I'm buying it, but you can improve this, or I would buy it if you can improve that, then I start adding all the time and the money into making the product better.
I've enjoyed that too. I don't. I mean, the project, the other project, I don't really want to. I'm still figuring it out, so I'm not really gonna keep share it until I have like the actual product out there to use. But I like that's what I loved about that book because I was one of the people who would overcomplicate it, and then as it was explaining that, I'm like, shit, like these are issues I ran into, and I
Right.
wasted a lot of time on. Even so much as like when I had the t-shirt company, when I was like I would design t-shirts, I would reach out to people in China and have them design and ship them back here, and then people would critique the living shit out of them, and I'd be like, damn, like I just spent 4 grand on a box of t-shirts to show up, and people are like, oh, you should have done this color, you should have done this color, and like what would have been more like, I mean, I think I didn't lose any money on that company, but like what would have been more viable in hindsight would have been like researching and getting feedback. So now like I'm enjoying feedback, and I'm actually watching you do these processes exactly in the book that I just read and the one that I'm listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool to like cuz I'm watching it play out your way, but I'm also at the same time in the background planning it out my way. And it's kind of cool to see the different results, like seeing like where it leads. Just like how you put in the group text today about your the website, and it's just everyone giving you feedback, and it doesn't mean you're going to do everything everyone said, but it's still data.
Yeah, for sure. It's just hearing what other people say, because they're not buyers, but they're people, and so I'm gonna take that feedback and make my own decisions on whether it's viable or not. Because obviously everybody's looking through their own lens, and I have
Hmm.
reasons for doing things the way I'm doing them. But I may be wrong, or I may be right. But you won't know until people start actually buying the thing and leaving reviews, or um, some traffic comes through the door and tells you what you're doing wrong or right.
I think it's solid, man. Have you ever gotten like I'm sure you have, but like have you ever gotten like plateaus or like almost like writer's block? Like when you hit these issues, you're like, shit. Like have you ever like almost in your head thought the product was dead in the water just
Mm,
before a breakthrough?
no, no, it's either something moves right away, and it doesn't have to be like a big shift. Again, just
Hmm.
small little steps is better than nothing. Like I've seen situations where um again, like even with paper tube, I remember the initial thing I did was make 3 tube sizes that I thought were core products that would use that type of packaging. It was
Hmm.
like coffee, t-shirts, and candles, or something along those lines. So it was like a short and fat tube, and then it was kind of like a medium-sized tube, and then it was like a tall tube for the t-shirts. You would roll up a t-shirt and put it in there.
Drop it in there.
Yeah, and um, 2 of the 3 started selling, and the third one was kind of either very slow or almost non-existent. Like the t-shirt seemed like a good idea on the surface, but like It's just a strange packaging for t-shirts. Usually they're hanging on a hanger because people have to open them and try them on,
Hmm.
or they put it in a bag. And like I had a couple of orders with t-shirts, but it was like that idea just never took off. I mean, we ended up using those tubes for other things. And other people started seeing the tubes and they're like, oh, can I put incense in there? Can I put a diffuser in there? Can I put a scarf in there? And so like the t-shirt tube became the scarf tube essentially, or something else. So it didn't
That's
really go to
cool.
waste, but and we sold it out. But you start seeing the evolution of the product as it's out in the market, not when it's in your head.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm trying to
I
do now. So essentially, it took me like a couple of weeks to put a Shopify site together. And again, for e-commerce, I like Shopify. Versus non-e-commerce, I actually like Squarespace. Squarespace is a little easier to build. It looks nicer. Um, might be
yeah, I
cheaper.
like
Yeah, I think it's cheaper too.
it is cheaper.
Yeah, but for e-commerce, again, I've been using Shopify for years, and Shopify is great.
I might have to move my shit to WordPress.
WordPress is fine too.
real,
Like for tubes, for
real
example,
loophole right there.
yeah, I started with Shopify, and then it got too expensive, and I moved to WordPress for a couple of years, and then I moved back to Shopify after it took off a little more. Like once I had the
Mhm.
budget, I went back to Shopify. But before I had the budget, I went to WordPress.
Yeah, I just ran into that because it's like, okay, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what kind of MVP I wanted to come up with, and then you showed me Squarespace, which I always use Shopify for everything, which I love. Shopify is great, but I was like, oh, like I like how Squarespace looks. Like it's like sleek, it's
Yep.
simple, it's modern. Um, you can still do everything, but it's like a little bit of a pain in the ass. But it's still a solid platform. And then like now going through the feedback and issues and
Hmm.
troubleshooting and testing I've done, it's like, man, I might have to move over to like my third try now would be WordPress.
Right.
But it's just the kinks you got to work out. But I kind of like obstacles like that, like the obstacles you run into and stuff. It's kind of like in my head, I think, you know, if it was easy, like
Everybody would
the
do it.
everyone would do it. So like you run into these little kinks and problems and you keep pushing, and that's why it's worth what it's worth. You know what I mean?
Well, on the product side, especially, because right now the only
Hmm.
thing I can deal with, because it's not out in the market, is the product, right? You have to get the product right. And so I've been kind of obsessing over this wall mount. And so for all the listeners, the website is trophywall.co. And the product it's called the mount, because the concept
You ready
behind,
to send them?
huh?
You ready to send them?
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so it's the concept behind the brand essentially is, so here, let me even go back to the sort of origin story. So again, I got all these medals, or I got the last medal at Tampa Open, and I came back to the gym and I was like, oh shit, there's like these mounts suck. So let me figure out a way to engineer it. And so I started engineering it, and I ran into a bunch of problems. And not only did I run into a bunch of problems, I kind of foresaw potential issues in the future because the original mount was made from multiple pieces of acrylic, and they had to be bound together, and you had to align them properly so like the edges are nice and seamless. And then you have to, like, acrylic is very difficult to bind because it's low surface tension material, and so like liquid glue doesn't really work. And so I started using 3M tape, and that's like an extra piece that adds to the cost, and the labor time adds to the cost. And um, then obviously they didn't really hang well because the metals would come out of them. And so I was like, let me pivot and see if I can um, re-engineer this mount to be more universal, because the original version, the original concept that I had in mind was, let me make a precision cut mount for every metal. And there's a ton of competitions out there, and even
Yep.
within the same competition there are different metals. So like IBJJF, for example, has open, masters, gi, no gi, kids, pans, euros, Brazilian, world masters. And so each one of those competitions has different metals, so it's like a ton of work to engineer the metals, which would be nice if they fit, but they don't. And so I'm like, well, let me go back and basically re-engineer this thing to be universal, so that you can use, instead of having the metal sit inside the frame that's cut for it. Let's use the lanyard as a mechanism to have it hang. And so then the second variation of that was I found a way to make it out of a single piece of acrylic, and
Hmm.
then you would the lanyard would like feed into slots, pre-cut slots, and then you'd put a screw into the wall, and then you'd hang the mount onto the wall. Then the next problem was the hole onto which you put the screw in that's in the wall was like ended up being behind the lanyard, and so
Did
it
you
took
see
me.
me struggling with that today?
Yeah, dude, it's like because you have to like once the lanyard's in the back, you have to either like
Yeah.
move it somehow in the narrow space between the mount and the wall, and you couldn't get your hand in there, or you had to like use the screw to kind of like move the lanyard over using tension, and then hopefully like feed the hole onto the screw. And so I'm like, fuck, this is a problem. So like I struggled with that for a week, and then like today in the shower, I'm like, hold on, I can
That's
just
so
fucking move
funny.
those things around because the way the lanyard strings into the mount is it's from the front to the back. It's like in, out, and in again. So there's like a space between the two in and out
Just enough
feeds.
space.
That's like the empty space that isn't covered by the lanyard, and that's like the only space that you can put that hole in that isn't visible on the mount itself because it's hidden behind the lanyard, yet it's not covered by the lanyard. So I was like, oh shit, such a simple thing. Like, why didn't I think of that earlier? So I sent you pictures, and I was like, that's literally the solution. I'm like, you're going to be mad when you see it.
I was laughing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's fucking it's funny too because like today I was hanging them up at the gym and I was like, damn, we still need 5 more. And I was gonna look at you and be like, Dave, just print out like 10 of these so we have them ready. I mean,
I
we got
did.
some
I made
competitions
a
coming
bunch.
up, and it's kind of funny. And I was like thinking like his stingy ass could have just made 10 of these and called it a day. And then it's funny because you didn't, because those would have gone to waste because now you got the new version that
Right.
actually makes sense and is easy. And yeah, that is hilarious because I was trying to like figure out the lanyard thing too, and the lanyard actually kind of puts tension behind the thing, so kind of some of them were like turning. So
Correct.
like some of them weren't
Now they
flat; they
don't.
were like it was yeah. So
Yeah.
like it was kind of messing with the presentation of it all said and done.
Yeah, and that's my own weird like idiosyncrasy because I'm never like my mind isn't satisfied until the solution is simple, easy, quick, and cheap. And so it's like it's got a bunch of criteria in my mind that it has to meet to be like a complete product. Because otherwise, like I thought of again between the original frame and the current frame, like I had all kinds of feature design mounting assembly choices. It's like
Hmm.
I could have just used a piece of tape or a sticker to kind of roll the lanyard on the back of the mount and then stick it to the back of the mount. Or I could put a piece of glue behind the metal so it doesn't come out when it's hanging, right? Or like some kind of a 3M strip. But I'm like, dude, if you have to add a piece of tape or glue to the product, you're doing something wrong. It's like bad engineering,
Yeah,
you know?
it's and it's another fail point. Like
Yeah,
it's
and it's
another
another. It adds to the assembly, and even all that aside, let's say it's cheap, and I find a way to like make the assembly efficient. Um, from a consumer standpoint, it's like, what the fuck is a piece of tape doing on this precision frame? Like it makes no sense because
yeah
you're always engineering to, or I'm always engineering to the customer experience, like to the usage of the customer, because I'm putting myself in the place of a customer, and as kind of like a self-taught, self-thinking engineer, I always critique the product through the lens of like, what is all this extra shit on it? Couldn't they have figured out a better way? You know,
yeah
because like
Dude,
it feels like cheating. Like
yeah
I'm not will, especially if I'm paying like okay money for it. It's not a $2 Timu product. It's like it's a precision made, US
uh,
made,
it's a premium product.
single piece engineered thing that looks beautiful on the wall. Like what the fuck is a piece of tape doing on it? It's got no place for it.
I think it was a genius like innovation I mean, when I walked in the gym and like you had the precision cut ones, I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. I personally like the
I
precision
like them
ones.
too. I like the way they look, but only for the open IBJJF open. Once I started
Yeah.
putting the other metal in there, like the tap cancer out, Zach's metal,
Mm.
it doesn't look as nice.
Yeah. I think IBJF got them shiny metals, so it kind of contrasts well in like the color.
This year,
But yeah, this year.
this
Yeah.
year,
For
yeah.
but like yeah, it took me a few minutes of like looking back and forth. I think biasly I was used to the precision cut one. So when I saw the new version, I was this was the one I invested my like thoughts into, so it took a minute. But then as I like it sunk in, I'm like, this is a lot better, not only for like a business standpoint, but like as a consumer, what if I'm interested in buying and I'm like, oh, he doesn't have mine yet. Like he doesn't have the this particular one up yet.
Right.
Now it's like as a consumer, it's like, oh, that'll work. That'll work. Like I've Googled this before. It's not like a product that you just came up with and I'm like, oh, I'm using it as a friend. Like I've gone home and looked up like metal racks, and belt racks and stuff like that. And I haven't seen anything that was
Seamless like that, well
like
engineered. Yeah.
I just see like hooks and I'm like, that's cool. But then it looks like I don't know, like it just looks like a tool rack I'm hanging them off of. Like it's nice to display them and it looks like it's on display. Like, hey, this is like an accomplishment, an achievement.
Right. And that's the idea. So the idea is to kind of build this out as not a single frame, but a wall, because chances are if you're a competitor that has one medal, you have multiple. And,
Multiple.
especially with kids' rooms or even like, adult masters competitors, it's like there's at least a medal a year.
For you guys who have like stacked divisions.
It's funny. That's funny. Well, hold on. At Pans, I had a bunch, but I didn't medal at Pans.
Yeah, at Pans.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
We
Pans.
don't
We
talk
just
about
show up
Pans.
to
We're going
Pans.
to talk about this Pans. Gonna be ready for
Yeah,
this one.
this. Yeah, I'll be ready for this one.
Yep.
Raise hell. If not, I don't know. I mean, it's fun, man. You go out there. I mean, I'm one of those people that I think like if you got a medal, you earn it, show it off, whatever. Like part of me in my head is like, all right, you put gold up, you hang up a gold medal, you put silver, you give to your kids, and bronze just goes in the sock drawer.
No, it still
But
goes up. Still a
yeah,
medal, dude.
it's still and to me, I'm like, it's still
Especially in
a
stacked
fucking.
divisions, because once you make the podium, still a medal, dude.
I know. That's part of. I think I was talking to Andrew about this. I'm like, I think it's like him and I were like agreeing. It's like once you get to the podium rounds, like where you're like, oh, I'm podium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
You don't try as hard.
no, it's not that you don't try as hard. It's like my motivation like kind of drops a little bit.
It's like I
And I
made
was
it.
trying to pick his. I was trying to pick his brain. I'm like, all right, so what do you tell yourself to keep going? Because it's like, you're like hungry. I mean, in Fort Lauderdale, the finals match, I was pretty pumped. Like I
Mm-hmm.
like told the guy, I'm like, all right, this is for gold, bro. Like let's go. Like let's go at it.
Mm-hmm.
This is for gold. Like I was kind of like when we touched hands before we touched hands, I'm like, for gold, let's go. Kind of hyping both of us up. I wanted a really good match.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's like, all right, like I'm either getting gold or silver. Both are good. you know,
Yeah.
I'm tired. How much do I really want this open gold? Like you gotta like start digging deep. But I'm still like I don't let myself lose. So it's like I don't know, like the mentality switches. And he had the same thing. He's like, oh, once I'm on podium, like maybe it's not like your motivation leaves. Maybe it's your relief. Like maybe it's like okay, like I'm gonna podium. So like there's a relief. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're because of all the stress and tension you put on yourself, maybe that is just what you're feeling.
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends on the competitors, obviously. I mean, I've seen people cry at events, right? Like you've seen people
Hmm.
break down because they haven't, got first. So clearly, those
Yeah.
people are basically like staking their lives on winning. They're not just
Yes.
settling for the podium. Because, to us, we're not really a competition gym. So to us, like the pressure of winning isn't, I don't know, that's how I feel. Like it
We're
isn't,
still doing more than most of the guys are
yeah,
doing.
it's
Like,
not quite there. It's like we're on the podium and it's better than almost like 99% of people who don't even compete. It's already good enough. Like competing is already a win. Like to me, competing is a win.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'd
I
like to get on the podium. Obviously, it'd be nice to be first, but just showing up to a competition is already a win.
I don't try less hard. Like it's not like I never walk out of there being like, man, I could have tried harder. Like I don't ever like really leave a competition match and say I didn't like put in all the effort I could. You know, I leave and I'm like I should have done this instead of doing this, and I should, but so is the other guy. So it's not like I'm like trying any less hard. It's just like in my mind, it just is like I'm happy.
Yeah,
you know,
good enough, right?
David would be kicking our asses right now. These little bitches.
Probably.
It's gold or nothing, brother.
That's funny.
But yeah, man. So what's next? Like, so is your focus branding next,
Yeah,
or
so I got the brand down. The brand was basically the first thing I went with because you have to work the product and then you kind of have to figure out sort of where the brand is going. And so from a brand perspective, you need a logo and you need kind of not a brand guide, let's say, but at least like colors, fonts, voice, because the brand isn't just the logo and the images. It's kind of like the whole, like, what's the voice of the company, and you put that all together and you hope it's the same voice that's in your head is the same voice that people hear, because
Mhm.
they say, what did they say, the brand is not what you say it is, it's what the people think it is.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm generally trying to be as simple and clear and concise in the brand voice as I can to avoid the mismatch between what I want it to be versus what the people actually think, right?
Mhm.
And so, from a brand perspective, again, I'm thinking like this is a hunt, and trophy wall is something from kind of the hunting world, right? It's like when you kill an animal and you go like hunt the deer or the elk or a lion. You come home and you taxidermy the head and you make a little wooden mount, and then you have like a whole room or a wall in your house where you have all these like heads, right? Remember from like Ace Ventura? They walk in and there's like, oh shit, it's like a
I knew
wall
you were gonna
of
say
basically
that.
dead animals on the wall.
Yeah.
But it's like, the hunter and the prey. And so the voice of the brand I wanted to make is very similar. So it's like the competitors are the hunters, the prey is the metals, and the mount is what you're mounting, right? And so that's why the frame is called the mount, and then
You need the mount to
the
show the
metals are the
achievement.
heads, or the wins, the trophies,
Yes.
and then the wall is the wall of trophies. And so it's not just a single medal. It's like the goal is to build out the entire wall because you keep on hunting, right? Hunters keep on hunting. And so
That's
that's the voice of the brand. So I basically kind of wrote up copy in the voice of Morgan Freeman dictating the hunt scene on the Discovery Channel, and so like the entire website is from that perspective.
that.
And so when you guys end up there, feel free to send me an email and critique the writing or the voice.
I think
Because,
it's good.
yeah, I think it's good. But again, what the fuck do I know? Let's see what people say.
I think we're hitting like the age now too, where it's like your personality or your brand has that personality. It's not like we went through like a quick phase where it was like your brand just has to get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was telling you earlier, like when I was doing the drop shipping thing, that was another like business thing I did for a little bit. Um, I started getting increased sales, like a lot more sales when I made my site very easy to click out. Like I always thought it was stupid to have like one click, like buy now. Like why would you have a checkout button and a buy now button? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's fucking stupid. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Dude, when I added buy now, it's like I got a lot more sales. It's like double.
Right.
And so it didn't fucking matter what my page had on it. Nobody scrolled down to the description. They just want all that mattered was the bold letters, the heading one, which is how Google would index it,
Yep.
and then your little tiny description, and then your reviews. And that was all anyone looks at.
Oh yeah, people scan. I spoke to this lady Erin from Slide UX, and she was saying that she does user experience, and so she was saying that nobody reads. People just
No.
scan, and so it's
Yeah.
like the copy is almost secondary to the headings and the buttons and the layout and the colors and the imagery.
Yeah. It's almost more for like Google indexing than it is in SEO,
Yeah,
just so you pop up,
yeah,
than it is for the actual customer experience.
yeah.
But
I'd still like it to be a distinct voice of the brand, because just thinking about it, like all the brands that I personally like are kind of their stories, right? You're not just buying the
mhm,
product, you're buying into the story. And so it's like, what the fuck am I really selling here? Am I selling a piece of plastic with holes in it? Or am I selling um, a mount for your wins? And basically, the mindset of a competitor is what I'm after, not like, you stringing a piece of a lanyard into something you're going to like put on a screw in the wall, you know?
it's beautiful. That's what I'm doing with like the Talking Jit brand is I'm making it like more funny, like entertainment. Like you go on there and it's not just like we have the best podcast available. Check us out. If you like jujitsu talk, it's like, yeah, that's everybody, bro. Like I think you showing personality nowadays is winning people
It's
over.
human. You have to be human.
Yeah,
I think you have to be human at the end of the day.
that's a great point. Yeah, for sure. That's why I make sure all my pages are a little bit funny and throw little jokes in there and have like a little bit of a personality. Um, maybe cross the line here and there if I can get away with it and
The right
say
people will
la vie.
understand.
And that's the people I want. It's like almost like what people do you want? You want the hunters, you want the competitors, you want the people who are going to show the shit off and hang it up and be proud. So why would you know, why you're going to get in their head and put things up there that they coincide with and agree with and get a kick out of rather than just being like, hey, you want you want a piece of plastic with holes in it?
Correct.
you know,
Right. Because, like if you think about sort of our gym, even, the shit we talk about during stretching session. Um,
that's my favorite,
I
dude. I
know it's the
love it.
best, but I imagine like any other gym, whether it's,
Things are
cross
crazy.
CrossFit or, jujitsu or wrestling, it's all like shop talk. It's like it's a bunch of people kind of getting together and just being human together. And so I think that's the right path for the brand. It's like less
hmm
corporate and more human, you know?
Yeah, and my aim is like a little bit to build my aim now with talking about like the adjustments we're making and stuff with like after I just ran this last like test with what I'm building.
Mm-hmm.
My aim is now kind of steered towards a community.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes in line with what we're talking about now is like I'd rather have personality out there, and then the people that personality attracts will probably join like the Discord that we're gonna build and the community and
Mm-hmm.
the people to talk, and that'll kind of hopefully get rid of the people who won't like enjoy it or fit or cause problems in it, because and like I kind of want to build a community and grow and then have like a community of people that help each other but are also like enjoying it, bring people along with the brand, bring up people along with the process and and that will kind of help build like for you it'd be building a product that like people like. For me it'd be like building a community of people that I can't be friends with everyone. I can't reach every gym in the world, but maybe with like a Discord community I can have unlimited people to talk to and give people other people to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like it's not just the product. I'm trying to build a movement, and the movement is competitors who are after the wins. They're essentially on a hunt for wins, and they're proudly displaying those wins on the wall, and that's what trophy wall stands for. And so, like again, if this thing goes well and
Mhm.
people like it, maybe the next step is kind of athlete ambassadors. So start talking to other competitors and see if I can find some people to represent the brand.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
And yeah, and there goes. Yep. Then again, you're like starting a community. You're getting people who make sense around you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep.
I'm glad. I'm surprised and glad that it's launched. I don't know why I'm surprised, but I didn't know it'd be like all right, let's get these bitches out.
Yeah, it's weird because
let's
it's
let's get
like,
the setup
when is it ready to go, right? Because it feels like
right.
it's never ready. It can always be in this pre-launch phase indefinitely. But
Yeah.
if you've read that other book by Seth Godin, or all marketers are liars. He says shipped is better than perfect. And so
Yeah,
that's a good motto. So, because you don't know what perfect is, let's just get it out there. And so I'm like one page away from being done. I'm writing the About Us page, which is like the hardest one to do because you have to talk about yourself.
yeah.
Because I can talk well about the product, but talking about yourself is very difficult without thinking that you're sounding um, too full of yourself. You know, like how do you do it
I
without being conceited? Essentially.
I'm not good at that. Like, remember I posted a video of like basically a podcast I did solo,
Mm-hmm.
and I turned it into a video, and I didn't have I didn't want it to be just me sitting here talking to the screen, which might have gone well, but I posted a bunch of like just pieces of video throughout like my martial arts career that kind of I felt like went with it. I posted it and I'm like, damn, that's weird. Like I'm like, is this like me just trying to act like I think I'm cooler than everybody? It's hard. It's hard for me. How does that go with like a business owner though? Like you got to kind of be out there and confident, right?
Yeah.
Is
We
there
we
like a
we we,
balance
we
with that?
we know some people.
Yeah. You just I mean you read my mind right there,
Yeah, I
but
know.
like
It's like I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of
is it
being all conceited out there because it's like the word humility came up multiple times throughout my podcast recordings and feedback of, and I don't know where that stands because it's a very fine line between being competent and confident and humble, whatever the fuck it means to different people. And so, I wrote it up. I'm gonna launch it. It's gonna be there. I send it to you. You said it sounds fine.
I
Um,
think it's great. I
yeah,
think
it's good enough.
right.
Same Morgan Freeman voice. Still,
Look,
we're still hunting.
people are attached to feelings. So if you got some sort of copy that people read and it gives them a feeling, I mean that's good. Rather than like someone reading your page and it's a robot and it's like, you know, Dave had a company. Now Dave has new company.
Right,
Check out new company product.
by
This is
Dave.
a new startup by Dave. Like people would be like,
Yeah, right,
all right, Dave needs to work on like Dave sounds boring, but like when it's like Dave was on the hunt, he didn't give up. After pondering, like the wordage and shit, man, I think it's great. I think that how like you're like, is it over the top?
it's over the
Yes,
top.
but
I
yes,
know it's over the top,
and
but
a lot of times with like cute, humble people, I think that's just like breaking through a comfort zone. Like maybe don't do it every day,
right.
but you use like your once every quarter
R-
over the top
I get a
moment.
pass.
Yeah, like maybe once every quarter, kind of do something over the top and to keep the word fresh and people talking about it, you know.
That's funny. Yeah.
But
Well,
when you do it every week or 3 times a day, it becomes very comes across a whole different way.
correct. Right. So I'll put it out
Depends on
there.
your
It'll live
goal.
on the webpage. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens. Hopefully, people scan and not read, and then everybody's happy. Um,
maybe they read it and they become a emotional, like you give an emotional response that they feel connected to.
yeah, that'd be good. That'd be fine. And so essentially, the website's done.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, the next stage is marketing. So I got to get it out there, right? So I've reached out to a couple of organizations. I talked
I was
to,
gonna ask.
yeah, I talked to Tap Cancer Out, and I said, send me some metal designs. I'd love to get them on the website. And they said, we'll send you those.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I talked to a guy over there, and he said somebody will reach out, and so hopefully that'll happen this week, and then I'll get some images, and then see if I can, start marketing in that organization. See if maybe we can uh, get them some part of the revenue. It's a good organization, I think. And
Finally, you have a company that can sponsor me.
yeah, seriously, you already have somebody who sponsors you.
Yeah.
Yeah, aren't you going to
Well.
Dallas?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
There's your coaching job.
I'm not
You have a
competing.
patron.
Pretty much. I have my first client, my first customer.
Selling your soul to the devil.
Nah, man, it's cool. It's experience.
Nah, he's a
It's
good
not
dude.
bad.
It's all good.
Nah. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And
Yeah, and
going
that's
to Dallas and coaching is it's fucking cool. It's like
you doing
I,
Atlanta with him too?
I'm not competing in Dallas, so part of me with I'm a little up in the air because I was planning on it, and then now with like my back, whatever the hell happened to my back and my neck, I'm like, I'm just actually gonna let my shit heal up,
Dude,
especially with
just pull
pants around the
guard.
corner.
Come on.
No, no.
Come on, dude.
Actually, that was giving me a hard time today. Like just doing the private with Jake today,
Mm-hmm.
I was having a hard time with anything with that. But so I might do Dallas. I might do Atlanta, maybe to get points, or maybe to tune up, or maybe to get in shape or see where I'm at before pans. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants these days. I've got a lot on my plate.
Mm-hmm.
Young kids, made a lot of investments this past year, and career hunting and trying to build at the same time. I'm trying to compete my ass off before I get my black belt. So I'm like, got a lot of fires going. So we'll see.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know if Trophy Wall wants to kind of help hook it up, then yeah, for sure.
yeah, we'll talk. Let's make
But
the first sale and then we'll see what happens.
you also got a homie that will put Trophy Wall on my gi,
Oh yeah? All right.
for $20,
Yeah, that's how much it costs to put a trophy wall on the gi. Actually, I got it
So
down to
just
$13 now. I think we're at
oh,
13 bucks.
really?
Yeah,
Oh shit. That's not bad at all. That's freaking
I
cheap.
know. It's David special.
That's cool that I didn't think that you could reach like see that's where confidence talking about confidence. Like I now that you said that like they got back to you, I've never even like I haven't had the confidence to reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I wonder if there's a way I could work with them for my product, my idea."
I don't see why not. Go reach out to American Grappling, reach out to New Breed, reach out to who else is out there? Like Fuji. I think there's yeah,
MMAC
there's a whole bunch of them. You know.
Tap Cancer Out would be great. I want to do that tournament for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to do that
Just
one
for the
too.
hell.
That'd be a good one.
And then what is it? World Industries or what is it called?
Grappling Industries,
Jiu Grappling Industries, and then there's like World of Jiu-Jitsu, World
World Jiu-Jitsu
Jiu-Jitsu.
League or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like I don't know if it's newer or newer to me, but
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 of different organizations. IBJJF obviously being the largest one.
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously also the hardest one.
right. I mean that's essentially the core.
Fucking
Yeah,
IBJJF.
good for them. But anyway, so the next step is marketing, and I think social media marketing is the way to go. You essentially build audiences, and the way to build that audience, I believe, if I believe correctly, is to um, I think select people who like certain pages, and that's again IBJJF, Tap Cancer Out, um, all those other ones I listed. And again, this is just jiu-jitsu, but
Yeah,
honestly, any place that medals or any sport that medals, that has competitions that medal, is a potential suitor. So CrossFit Games, Ironman, um, any
yeah, that'd be
marathons,
cool.
Chicago Marathon, Boston Marathon. I mean, any place that triathlons,
I just
swimming,
talked to a
running.
triathlete.
Yeah, I mean, like any sport that medals is a potential customer. And so, starting with jiu-jitsu because that's kind of the core group. That's
Mhm.
that's the origin story. But then we get into maybe wrestling and other martial arts, Muay Thai, judo, um, taekwondo. Taekwondo would be nice. I don't know if they medal.
They
Um,
usually do trophies, I think, from
yeah,
what I remember.
yeah, and then
But maybe not. Who knows?
yeah, and then again, if it goes well, then you start expanding the product base, and the product base, because it's a universal mount, would then be other materials and colors, and then maybe other shapes. So instead of a 8x10 rectangle, we start doing a shield, an upside down shield, maybe a circle, a square, then you start getting into collaborations. Maybe then we get a printer and start printing logos on it or full fully wrapped, like IBJJ of blue with their yellow line on there, and then you have the logo hanging or the medal hanging. So
That's so sick.
yeah, so then
I love
that's kind
watching
of
it
the
build, man.
expansion again in my mind, if it goes well.
Yeah, and like you said, things change, you know?
Yeah, you never know
Like,
which direction it could go, could pivot. I could be making then belt racks instead of medals. Instead of a mount, it'll be called the scarf hold.
that is another product that, like, I've looked up a lot. Like, I actually have one. It's for Taekwondo, but,
Are you a
like,
black belt in Taekwondo?
no,
No,
no.
no.
I think I got up to, like, green. I was just like, it's funny, I was just in my closet the other day and I pulled out, like, a green belt with, like, a black stripe down the middle. And I was like, I don't even remember making it this far, but obviously I did.
There you go.
But,
Should wear that to pants.
um, that'd be awesome. Like, they just think that I'm like when they give you that random color belt
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
wearing the same color
The green and yellow. Yeah,
Yeah, I just took it upon myself
that's
to
funny.
like walk in there. But like I would play stupid, but like what, man? Maybe that's where my career should go. Is just like when I'm sick of competing, I just
Just
troll
troll. Make a
different
YouTube channel
troll
where you like troll.
IBJJF.
Just
Yeah, just
prank.
troll
It's
IBJJF.
like that dude that
Yeah.
shows up to ghettos and like tries not to get shot.
Yeah.
He's like, "What you looking at? What's up, son?"
The guy asked for directions. He's like, "Yo, don't tell me what to do."
Right.
That guy's pretty funny. But yeah, like, oh, fuck you. I forgot where I was going with that.
Trolling
But yeah,
IBJJF.
yeah. But before all that,
Hmm.
the realness. Oh,
Belt
the
rack.
belt rack. The belt rack. Like that's another thing I think is like people. I don't know where people put their belts, but I know they don't display them because we have a lot of jiu-jitsu friends, and I have a lot of friends that I I don't know where the fuck their belts go. Granted, it's like so long in between each belt, it's not like you constantly have a new one to hang.
Mm-hmm.
So like you might have like an empty rack for a little bit, but I think like that's a good product as well. I've looked, there's not too many,
No.
and just cut them out. I think I'm gonna do what I told you about. Like I think maybe we'll figure it out. You can make it a product, but I want to like display them the way I told you. Like I think
Oh,
that'd be
like
like a
the
sick,
yeah, yeah, the circle.
like yeah, like almost like a star or a clock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a super cool way. Just have them on like a rectangle and a way that they're sturdy, and just stick them on the wall.
Interesting. So it's
Cause
like two holes, two holes, and then it's like
you
in a star pattern, and so it's like you wind the belt, and then you wind the other belt.
you could like I was thinking like literally just like a rectangle and just 5 rectangles that aren't even attached to each other. And then I was just gonna measure it out and just mount one like this, one like this, one like this, one like this, and one like this.
Hmm. I mean,
Or
you
maybe
can
put
pre-cut it so that it's like they're meeting in the middle. So it's a rectangle on one side and a point on
mhm.
the other, and then the angle of the point on each can fit together in the star pattern.
I had to like I haven't completely thought this through, but we could find out something pretty sick.
Yep.
Once the time's right. I know you gotta like build on it. I've hit the same shit, man. Like with the app idea, I had one idea. It's kind of I sit around a lot. I'm like, man, I had this one idea, and I designed the whole damn thing, and then I went out and got like developers to give me quotes, and I'm like, holy shit! And I know there's gonna be problems, so that's probably gonna double
It's expensive.
that price. It's expensive as shit, and then it's everything against what that book said. Like, don't go build the whole thing. Like,
What if you,
just get.
yeah, what if you just boil it down to like one specific problem and just build
That's
that?
why. That's why I got the web page, and it's just simple. Drop the video and let's go. But then I had an idea of how I would do it, and then from the feedback I've gotten, I've noticed a pattern in what people are expecting and what they want out of it.
What do they actually
So
want?
now they want video.
They want
They
video
want
critique?
video like custom video critique.
Hmm.
So it's not the end of the world. It's just not what I designed. So now it's like I got to redesign. But then with redesigning, I have to take all the factors into play that we've already talked about. Like, what makes sense to me, what makes sense to the customer, where am I going with this? What's the smart way to do it? And then, I want to develop things on the back end so other people can do it too. But like, it's a lot of thinking, a lot of figuring out.
Are you making it an app or a website?
Originally, it was going to be an app, but then after I'm like, all right, what's the bare minimum that I need? Okay, I need a video from the customer. And then with that video, I'm going to critique it. And now I got to give a lesson out of it. So they got to receive a lesson. So I thought maybe I could, like, with the database I built, I can kick out like a curriculum, but I'm the one who critiques it. And then I put that into my database, and then it kicks out a curriculum for that person to correct and, you know, cancel their, or, you know, critique themselves, or the hell am I trying to say? Help themselves through the problems. Like they can get rid of, eliminate the issues they're having, and try new things.
You don't think you have to be
But people,
local for that?
no.
It's kind of like I'm imagining something similar to what we did with the private, right, at BB. So it's like you showed him your video from Pens. He looked
Hmm.
at it and he's like, all right, you're not doing this. You could improve that. Let's drill that shit. And then we spent the whole hour drilling it as he was watching and giving guidance.
Yeah.
I think that watching and giving guidance as you are executing on his feedback is the important part. And I think that the only way that could happen is if it's local.
Yeah. I have a couple ideas. I'll kick them to you in person probably tomorrow. It was kind of funny because I was at the point where I was gonna write it down and pick you. I go to my council and pick their
Me and
brains.
Neil.
You and Neil, but I got other people too.
Yeah,
I got a few more people than just you guys. No offense. I got
I
You
see.
are the
It's
critiquer.
cool. It's cool.
You're the critiquer. Neil's the thinker. You know, and then I got another friend who just completely tears apart everything I say.
Mm.
So I like to go to him
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't think anything's going to work. So that kind of gives me A, the motivation, and B, it lets me know exactly what a pessimist would focus on.
Does he do jiu-jitsu or no?
No.
Okay, well then what the fuck does his voice matter?
I get a kick out of it.
Okay, all right. Just
It
don't.
kind of purges the pessimism,
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't take that criticism too hard then, because he's not the ideal customer.
No, and it's a good point. There's something
Because
there.
you want to ask buyers, because if I ask my parents who are close to me and I allegedly should value their opinion, but they have no
No
skin, not
concept.
only have no skin in the game, they have no concept of the actual market and my thinking about it, then I'm not sure that that opinion is valuable.
You're absolutely right. Their opinion is not extremely valuable. No, there might be a seed in there, but it's not worth the time
Right.
to, not necessarily.
In fact, the more people disagree with me and tell me the thing is bad, that probably makes me want to do it more.
That's
That's
what
maybe why I'm on the right path.
that's kind of what I use them for.
Okay. So if he's
That
critiquing
particular one.
everything, you're like, you got it done.
I'm like, that's great.
That's the way to
Let's
go. Sounds
let's keep
sounds like a
pushing.
viable idea.
Like that's where my motivation comes from.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, fuck you, because now I'm more motivated. But you don't want a yes man, and you don't necessarily want like an oppressor. So I got both. I got all of them. But yeah, I I've got ideas, man. It's tough. It's tough figuring it out. You found an actual need.
I don't
And
know. Maybe it's a need that I think is there. It's like, again,
so what happens if it's not?
well, I move on to something else. The question is then, where do you feel that you've done enough to test the idea? And I don't quite know it yet. It's like you have to go by feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's so much friction that I'm spending time and money and nothing is happening, literally nothing, then then maybe it's time to move on. What might actually happen is all that time and friction
Lead to something
might
else.
or no, it might generate interest but not enough interest to make it a long-term viable idea. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a warm flame, low flame. And that's worse. It's kind of like being on the job where shit's good enough. Cuz like it's good enough not to leave, but you also know that it's not going to lead you anywhere good. So you're just kind
Yeah.
of like that's how people end up for 30 years in the same job.
Oh man. I've seen the
That's
trap.
like slow death, dude. And so I'm cognizant of a slow death, and I'm trying not to have that experience. However, it's also possible that it could be nothing, nothing, nothing for 3 years, and then it'll blow up because that's happened also, right? It's like
So
where's that line? I don't know where that line is.
I got the chance to meet the owners of College Hunks Moving Junk. I
Mm.
actually delivered a piano to his house.
Uh huh.
Super cool dude. Well, I think there's a couple of them. The one I met, super cool dude.
Still in college?
I don't know. No, no, definitely not. Nice house though. But so I picked his brain for a little bit naturally, and he called his business a 15-year overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
They had that company for that long, and then it went on Shark Tank, and it like blew up, and now it's like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
why he used us,
for 15 years, how much did it do? Like nothing or very little?
I think it was like a relatively small operation. I can't remember exactly like how big it was, but it sounded like it was a straight grind, and him and his partner for 15 years were just like, pushing this business. I don't think it from the context I got, I wasn't getting exact numbers, but from the context I got out of him, it doesn't sound like it was like a
$1 million idea.
enterprise an enterprise. It sounded like maybe it was just like something him and his buddy were working, and it was getting them by. Maybe somewhat like the trap you said, like
Mm-hmm.
it's good enough, but then they like presented it just right, opportunity, at the right place, right time, and now it blew up pretty big. And he was like explaining, like, I was picking his brain like crazy, and like turned into a really big company.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, so that's the right question: is how long is too long and how long is not enough? Because
It's chapter 2 of Build, bro.
is it? I don't remember. I gotta go back and listen.
It's just after assholes.
Oh, is it? Uh
Yeah, it's talking about quitting
huh.
and being in that spot of like he keeps saying, like, if you're in that trap, that like just good enough, and you're not looking forward every day, get out of it.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, but not. And again, like the interesting thing is, it's not get out of it right now. It's plan your exit.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But
Because even with the tube company, like I started it in October of 2013, and in 2016, I think we did like
oh,
$100,000 in revenue as a company. And
were you
so,
stoked?
no, I mean it was okay, but it wasn't like, again, this is revenue. It's not like money I'm taking home. So I'm
Yeah,
saying for 3 years, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, it was essentially like the grind with nothing. So maybe that's how long it takes. I don't know.
I saw a picture. I think I bring this up a lot, but like I saw a picture. If I can find it, I'm just gonna like put it up one day. But it was like, again, it kind of goes down this line, but it was like the top part of the picture was like a group of miners, and it was like a tunnel,
Hmm.
and
Oh, I
the
know.
tunnel was
And they're
like,
like they're like this much from the gold.
yeah, from
Yeah.
the big diamond,
Yeah.
and like they turned around and they gave up, and it's like it's like one of those pictures where if you sit there and just think deep, you're like, fuck, like, but there could have easily not been a diamond, and they could have gone forever, you know?
Right. Or maybe they left before finding the diamond and they started, you know, a wall mount company and made millions.
Yeah, maybe they went to another tunnel that had multiple
Yeah,
diamonds.
right. And I think that's a great question, is how long is too long and how long is not enough? Because it's like I don't know if there's a straight up answer for it.
I get this pressure.
Because it's like
Well,
sitting at the slot machine. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe the next turn is the jackpot.
Yeah, it could be dangerous. It could be a
I
slippery
know,
slope easily.
I know, but that's the same, it's the same problem with life.
You're not supposed to quit while you're up.
I don't know. Are you up?
It-
Maybe you're
yeah,
down. Maybe
right.
you're already down because they're down, man. Like, oh, look at all the time they spent digging for that diamond, and they haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, it's yeah. Maybe they could have. Maybe that diamond's not worth the time and effort and machinery they used. It's it's a lot, man. I mean, it's tough. It's not. It's tricky out there to navigate. You know. I mean, you could just go flip burgers, be safe.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's not as interesting.
I'd rather not.
I so like, and I don't know how you feel, but like one of the things I think a lot is like, because I've tried a lot of different shit, you know, and I've learned every time. I learn hands on a lot better, but I'll try it. The last place that hired me told me, and I don't know if this was a sales tactic or what, but like they told me that my resume, I've done too much stuff, so it looks like I'm like
Overqualified?
not overqualified, like the opposite.
Oh, like too
Like
broad?
people take that as like you don't commit or like
Hmm.
you're not fully invested in anything. And I was like, well, if you relook at my resume, I've always had one consistent thing, and then I've had other things that have like sprouted from that consistent thing that I took because it was worth the time to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So like I'm like my detailing company, like the boats that I do are part of my detailing company, but I work under them because for it works better for both parties if
Mm-hmm.
they pay me as an employee rather than a 1099,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I'm like, technically it's through my detailing company, but it worked out to the point now where like I sold the detailing company, but I still have them, which is a good amount of money at the end of the year for me.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? But um, the point is like keep trying different stuff. What does it hurt? Like everything is a different experience. Everything is a different like say this wall mount company doesn't work out, you probably still learned a lot of different
Oh,
shit.
for
And you could
sure.
probably the next try you get will probably be way more efficient than this try was.
For sure.
So you're
Absolutely.
gonna be so that's the way I look at it, is like with
Well, I wouldn't
the
even,
couple ideas.
I don't put anything on the resume that's not even worth putting under, for example. It's like there's plenty of things that I've tried, that failed on a small level that is just like, it's not even worth putting, but it's an experience that brought me something, some form of knowledge or something else.
I guess my question is like how many things would you try?
I like trying I'll try anything once, bro.
But is there like a number of like of business ventures or careers that you would try?
No,
Is there a specific number?
I'm curious. I'm a curious person. I'd like to figure out how the world works. And the only way to figure
Right, right.
out how the world works is to get yourself into many different things that are out there. So it's like, how was this made? How can I make it better? What do people think about it? And it could go from, vacuum cleaners to bagels to entrepreneurship to, project management. Because it's like, I'd like to understand the landscape.
Yeah,
And the
for
only way you
sure.
understand the landscape is by having your hand in all the different places.
Is that too much, like spread too thin, or is that fine in your
No.
opinion? I don't think so either. I agree with you.
Have you learned things that'll make your life better? Absolutely. At
Fuck
every
yeah.
one of them, even failures, especially failures.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. Like, and what is it? Fail forward faster. You know,
For sure.
it's like you go and start this, and that's kind of how I look at it. It's like I gotta keep putting more and more irons in the fire, but it's like I don't know. One of them's gonna burn. One of them's gonna get hot eventually. I keep
Yeah,
trying.
nothing wrong
What's
with trying different things. I mean, better than doing nothing. Like, what's the
but
alternative?
uh
Exactly.
Like, yeah, not
doing
not
one
me.
doing one thing for a long time, being in the same job for 30 years, doing project management. It's like, yeah, I'd really like to learn like how to, clean boats. That seems more interesting to me than, being 30 years in the same fucking job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I I I don't know how. I personally don't know how someone can sit and do emails for 30 years, like, and never be caught up. And there's never the day that they wake up and they're
Zero. I actually have a rule
like,
that zero emails is the answer for the day. I can't leave until I have zero emails.
that's your rule?
Yeah.
Because I be watching these guys that never have zero.
Well, so the goal is to automate and standardize and create processes around things so they don't end up as emails. It's not like I also work fast, but ultimately you I create systems where it takes me out of the equation of the work. Otherwise, so
Yeah,
I don't have to fucking do the job.
but that's what I'm saying is like 30 years of waking up and never catching up on your emails.
Correct. And
And
actually,
there's never
and never
a
going to
day.
management and telling them, you guys should do this to minimize because this fucking problem keeps coming up over a 30-year period over and over and over again.
And yeah, there's never a day where you woke up and you're like, this is a problem.
Oh yeah, I actually used to like I would do customer service. I'd insert myself into various roles in the company,
Hmm.
especially customer service, because that's the voice of the customer. That's the place where you hear the voice of the customer.
Right.
And I would keep track of the questions they ask and just write them on the board, and then just write like, how many times that question gets asked. And as soon as I get to like 5, I create that item in the FAQ section, or I find a way to put that into the website so that, maybe on the product page, maybe add some kind of a video and put that prominently
Right.
on the website so this fucking question doesn't come up again. Because clearly, like, the customer's confused.
Or like, yeah, or like if there's like an issue, like recently where I work, there's a Verizon outage. So it like reset a lot of like the keypad entries to like all these gates and
Hmm.
companies and shit work off Verizon. So what did they do when their shit didn't work? They called us. They
Right.
called the company I'm at. And it's like, well, maybe send out a mass email to all the emails you have gathered and be like, hey guys, Verizon outage. Uh, the key fact, after we're working on getting through this. We're working with Cellgate. We're working with Verizon, and we'll have your stuff up and running. In the meantime, try troubleshooting like this because it's seeming to work for most customers. If not, hang tight. We will have an answer for you soon. For emergencies, call this number or email this person, yada, yada, yada. Instead of just sitting back and waiting for hundreds and hundreds of customers to call and text you and email you, and then you sit in your chair like you're about to blow your head off
Yeah.
because, and I don't know what they did. I don't know if they did that or not. I don't know, but like, I know I've been sitting next to people who are about ready to fucking lose their mind
Because people
because
are
all these
calling.
people keep calling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like you said, like certain little things like that,
Oh
like
yeah.
the
There and you don't have to reinvent any of the shit. There's like industries that already have that stuff figured out. So for example, like website hosting, they have a status page, and then they have a newsletter or like an email list. So anytime they have an issue with the server or they need to like migrate some shit from one server to the other, they just send an
Mhm.
email and they're like, "Hey, we're down. Here's a page. Here's the status page. Keep monitoring it, and then we'll post a status update to that page as soon as something changes."
Oh, nice. See,
Yeah, it's like there all of these solutions already exist in other industries.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Let me ask you this. Is there a point you think where have you seen companies that got big, like too big, too quick?
Too big,
Like,
too quick.
so, like, for instance, and I don't want to keep like blasting the place I'm at because I've seen it several places, but like, it seems like a lot of companies get a lot of business
Hmm.
and then they don't go back to like the other departments and make sure they can handle that. They're just in the front raking it in, which means like the front end of the business has got like what is it, like almost like a bottleneck. Like it's like you've got 4 people in the back handling um a lot of volume now. And it's like, but yet you don't go back there and create processes and procedures.
Hmm.
You just sit at the front end and like, you know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it's a good problem to have where you basically don't
Right.
have to worry about the cost side of things because you have so much profit and money coming in. I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine that being a long term um, thing simply because if your people get frustrated because there's chaos and lack of systems and constant frustration and
And a
problems,
high turnover
yeah,
rate
the
and
turnover rate goes up. And so it's like, as managers and as owners, you want to make sure that your company can actually take in the business that you're selling. And if you don't have the people, you obviously can't take the business very well. And so as soon as one side starts having issues, the other side generally starts having issues because um, if there's not enough people in the company, then other people start filling in for multiple roles, and so they're not selling as efficiently, or they're not filling orders, and then so complaints come in, and so the ratings go down, and so customers leave. And so it's,
yeah.
unless it's a monopoly and it's like people have nowhere fucking to go. It's like if you're Comcast, or who do we have here? um,
Oh, we got
Spectrum,
Spectrum,
Spectrum. So
Duke,
yeah, so if
Duke
you're
Energy.
right, so if you're like Duke Energy, and then there's no matter the problem, you're not fucking going anywhere.
Yeah, you can't.
Correct. You can't. Right. And so again, those are the industries. But like on a smaller business side, there's typically competition, and maybe competition isn't as good, and that's too bad because it sounds like there might be an opportunity for somebody to come in and just take all that business from them due to the lack of systems. And then they're going to start paying attention. But typically, I see that, or I've seen that as soon as, you have sales and operations. So as soon as sales starts ramping up and bringing in more sales, you have to start paying attention to the operations to make it more efficient so that you can actually capitalize on the sales side and not burn all that profit on the inefficiency of the operation. And so then it's one and the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's frustration. It's like, I personally, again, maybe it's a personality thing. Like, I personally don't like chaos, and I don't like overworking. Like, why the fuck would I spend my time dealing with constant problems that keep reoccurring over and over again? It's like I have my life outside of work. Like, I would like to go to
Mm-hmm.
jiu-jitsu during the day, and I'd like to, go with my wife out, and I'd like to take a vacation once in a while, and I'd like to maybe sleep in once in a while. So it's like I'll do everything I can to take myself out from the bottleneck and create systems and processes so this whole fucking thing can work without me.
Yeah. See, and that's like going back to the beginning of this conversation on my lifestyle list. It's not that I won't get the work done or
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won't do the work or I'm lazy. It's just
You
like
solve bigger problems. The problems you're
you're a fuck.
solving aren't local, they're global.
Yeah, you're a fucking human being. Like you deserve to sleep in every once in a while. You deserve to go to your kids' soccer games. You deserve to take your wife out. You deserve to go see something you haven't seen before. It doesn't have to be like no, my
80-hour weeks.
art. Yeah, like or like my 9 to 5 every day is reserved for this. It's like, well, what if I need a plumber?
Yeah. What if I just don't want to fucking go to work today? It's like, will this thing break without me being there? Like, if the thing will break without me being there, I'm doing something wrong.
Like, what if I don't want to go today? And what if that's better for the rest of the week? Like, what if you not going today turns into like supercharged me for the rest of the week?
Well, some people like a job. I like
I don't mind working
I'd like to
if I
no,
like.
no, but I like to build businesses. I don't like building myself a job.
Yeah, did you read the E Myth?
No, I get that's my next book.
Oh yeah, I told you about
Yeah, yeah.
that. It's
You
another one
and
of my
Bamber told me
favorites.
about it. I got to read that one.
Yeah, it goes down like that's probably one of my favorite parts of like a business book I've read. It's not like I don't know if it's necessarily the whole book, but like the part about like you don't own a business until you can step away
Right.
from the bottleneck and it makes itself go. Like McDonald's, like I think that's in the book I'm reading right now, is like the difference between the two. Well, the example I'm reading right now is the difference between the two brothers who made McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
and the guy who bought McDonald's
Ray Kroc.
because he realized that this fucking place can run itself and the procedures and the processes are so fluent that like I'm not selling burgers. I'm selling a business model.
Correct.
So it's like I sell you my business model, I get it set up, and now I'm getting you know,
Supply chain. Yeah, I'm the supply chain and the real estate.
yes, yes. So that guy can walk away. And now I'm not thinking like everyone in the world is gonna have some fucking some money bag, routine like that.
It's quite possible. There's plenty of businesses out there like that.
Like Chris,
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
has
And he says this. He
I,
says all the right things. He says the same thing I'm saying. He's like, "Look, I'm trying to take myself out of the equation, so I don't have to fucking work."
and that guy I keep I'll have him on one day. We've had a couple of reschedules, but on both ends. But like I went and saw I've been friends with him for quite a while now, and I used to detail cars at his place, and I'd go and hang out with him. You know how I am, curious as fuck. So like I go back there, and this guy is like the most Excel spreadsheeted guy I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the insurance company. And I'm like, he can tell you if he hires a receptionist, how much time it's going to free up, which is going to equal how much revenue down to the percent.
That's
He's
great.
like, if I hire this lady and I pay her this much an hour, that is going to allow these people to make more phone calls, which is going to turn into, on average, this many more sales, which is going to turn into this much more profit, which means it both justifies paying her and giving another job and also like the company. And but it's like everything in there is like that. Like he's got it down to like math equations, and it's fucking awesome. It's cool to see that, You think about Nike. This is one thing I'm not really sure about, and I've always been curious. I've told you there's two things.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep your crawlers so you can reference it to me. How the fuck is Gucci and Louis Vuitton? How do they have that much hype for what they sell? Like, why are people willing to pay that much for those brands? I know it's like marketing and branding, but I just want to know how they built that. Like, how do I decide to make a Fruit of the Loom or go the Gucci route?
Doesn't matter.
If I'm
Either one is doing fine.
right, but like, how do I decide? Like, man, this design, this G and this upside down G is going to be worth thousands, or like, hey, this cornucopia, if you believe in this, the Mandela effect here,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be worth this much money. But that and Nike, it's like, how does Nike know? So Nike knows if they make these rare Jordans that everybody wants, they're going to sell out. They know they could double that sale. So why do they do limited amount of Jordan drops? You know what I mean? But then they've always got like everything else stocked up. That's like kind of like they'll do like random colorways of random Jordans that don't sell out, and they keep them stocked up. But those ones are going to end up in a like what do you call it? Like the outlet malls and
Uh-huh.
shit like that, and possibly Payless shoes type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But why wouldn't they just like make double the amount of those hype Jordans and make the money right then and there up front?
It's a good question. I gotta find the book for you. I don't actually know, but it's all artificial demand. They're tinkering with at this point. Again, you're also looking at a slice of Nike now versus
Right.
the roadmap of Nike from the beginning on. I think
Mm-hmm.
Phil Knight wrote a book about it, about his rise, because they made that.
Really?
I think they made the waffle sole. Remember that? I think that's how they got
Oh yeah.
started.
Isn't that Vans?
No, I think that's Nike, because I think
Okay.
he was either running or his CEO was running. Somebody was like into running, and he basically poured a bunch of rubber into a waffle maker, and he pressed it, and he made that famous sole that Nike got famous for.
Hmm.
And but
Interesting.
from that standpoint, they essentially, the marketing was, they got Jordan on board, and they got a bunch of athletes on board, and they started sponsoring athletes, and then they became larger and larger and became bigger as a brand. And then, with these like limited edition runs and stuff, um, same with Gucci and all those other people, like they're just managing demand. The formula there is demand minus one.
It's true,
That's
right?
that's the formula.
And it just keeps that guy coming back,
Correct, because it's like it's never enough to satisfy
like
all demand of the market. There's like
the
there's
fear,
always a shortage, so they're always in demand.
the fear of missing out.
Correct, it's all FOMO.
Yeah. So wow.
And then they're sponsoring actors and actresses and beautiful people and throwing a bunch of marketing dollars behind the brand and throwing galas and uh, making sure that all these celebrities in the pictures are carrying the Birkin or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. I get that whole aspect, but it's like if I was gonna start like an apparel brand right now, or like a designer,
You
right?
can. You need a bunch of money.
And then
It's all
you
money.
just gotta go. I just gotta go to a bunch of people and convince them that this purse is worth. Actually, it's like the thing that they did, like where they did the pop up shop and they put like
Yeah,
Payless
yeah.
and like all these smaller
Palazzi.
brands in. Yeah,
Right.
and people are like, I can tell the quality's great. It's just a mind fuck,
That's exactly right.
but it worked.
Yeah, I think
And
Domino's did the same thing with their spaghetti when they were launching it. They set up a fake Italian restaurant and they served Domino's or was it Pizza Hut? I don't remember. One of them like launched spaghetti, and so they basically set up this like chef tasting menu, and then they brought basically the spaghetti, and people were like, "Oh my god, this is so delicious!" Then they brought out the box, and they're like, "Hey, it's just Pizza Hut." Same
it's like
concept.
when you watch your TV and there's ads for TVs, the crystal clear technology, and you're like I always think that's pretty funny marketing too. It's like I'm on my TV, you're telling me this TV is better, and you're showing me pictures from that
That's
TV,
pretty funny. I've also seen where they have a TV in a fast food restaurant, and they're showing commercials of other fast food restaurants on that TV.
Were you the one who sent me the Burger King
I
one?
I might have. I don't remember.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. The guy bought a flat screen off
Oh
of
yeah, yeah. It was
Facebook
Wendy's,
Marketplace.
I think, or KFC or some shit.
Burger King. He
Was it
got
Burger
home, he
King?
plugged the TV in, and it was a Burger
Yeah,
King menu.
it's funny.
It's so funny. But I mean, yeah, dude, but think about those people. I mean, we're sitting here talking about our ideas, trying to figure out if it works or not. And those motherfuckers sat down one day and said, you know what we got to do? We got to convince people this purse is $2,000.
Yeah, I think they came in with a lot more money into this
Yeah.
than we are, because
I'm sure there's a lot more.
yeah, there's
There's a lot
multiple
more in
ways
the
to kind of
middle.
break in. The way I know is the poor man's way, and it might be the right way for kind of startup brands, because you're starting slow and steady without you got a budget and you're not throwing crazy money at it. Like I'm essentially
Hmm.
trading time with money. But
Legitimately building.
correct. But if LVMH, for example, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy brand wants to start a new Italian shoe brand, they'll just throw a bunch of money at it, and then it'll become popular right away. They're just making a shortcut.
Maybe because they have the data already.
They have the data. They also have the brand equity. If it's launched under that umbrella, people know what that umbrella stands for. It's like nobody fucking knows Kevin and Dave.
That's very true.
If my name was Mr. Armani, it might have been a different story.
Man, yeah, that's that's like the one thing you sent me where they're like, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Bumble. People are like, what the fuck is Bumble?
Exactly.
Like before Bumble was big, and it just gave people the impression that Bumble was on par with
That was a great idea. It was
Facebook and
like great,
Twitter.
great grassroots marketing campaign.
It's fucking great. Yeah, hell yeah.
We should
Maybe that's all it takes, man. Maybe that's all it takes to get to that gem,
Yeah,
that diamond. It's
maybe we
like,
should go to all Gracie Baja gyms and just put a poster up like no shoes on the mat and no trophy wall.
yeah. That's
That's
perfect.
pretty funny.
Yeah, like
No water bottles on the mat. No, take your shoes off at the door and mind the trophy wall.
mine the trophy wall only.
Right.
Like we do,
Gold,
yeah.
only gold on the trophy wall.
We'll have to act like there's a problem. Like metals are turning walls colors. Like the metals reacting with paint and
Yeah.
turning like putting make like some sort of fake problem up and then just act like trophy wall
Is the answer?
uh is the answer to
That's
that.
pretty
Like
funny.
we could do like a funny infomercial where there's just metals like tacked on the wall like a lot of gyms do,
We,
and
we
we
had it like
remove the
that.
metals. And yeah, and what we'll do is like we'll remove the metals, and there's just weird stains on under all of them.
Eh,
And then we'll have me trying to scrub it with a magic eraser, and then the bright idea will be bringing in trophy wall down the wall.
Yeah, just hide it. Instead of fucking repainting the wall, it'll be cheaper to just hang the bunch of trophies.
Yeah, and it's
Amounts.
not going to stain your now. It's not going to stain your brand new paint job.
There you go.
We'll just make up fake. That's the way to do it, man. Again, it's what they perceive.
Absolutely.
So it's the story, man.
Yeah, so
What
that's the
is
news. That's where we are.
It's awesome. I look forward to. I enjoyed watching it build and all the processes. People don't really under. It's funny people see the product, but they don't see like how much is behind it, how much testing.
Oh, there's a ton that went in there. Like, how many times did I bring those frames into the gym and I'm like, oh shit, it doesn't look nice. Let me try another set.
Yeah, and then like the shit you ran into, like not everything seating in it nice.
Right.
And then I gave you a metal that was like super confusing. Like it wasn't just like a solid shape.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was like
like,
all weird. It was actually transparent almost. It's like you could see the lanyard behind it.
yeah, and you're like, what the fuck? Now I gotta like, that could have been an issue. And it still looks nice the way it is. I like the presentation. And who knows, maybe this is just the a stepping stone to the next one.
Yeah, maybe it'll end up with, clear
I'm
front
I'm
wall.
I'm surprised a shit ton of stuff I've had to switch up. Like I had this simple idea. I'm like, this is gonna be very simple.
It's not
And then
simple. Nothing is simple.
I'm,
It's only
I'm gonna
it's
grow up.
only simple in its final execution. They say perfection, what is it? Perfection is not when there's nothing more to add, it's when there's nothing more to take away.
Mm.
That's perfection. Just like this is it. Like with it,
What if you're
with my
trying to figure
mount,
out
I got nothing else to take away. This is it.
what maybe that's when it's the point to quit, is when you can't figure out what there is to add.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep adding infinitely. I can probably find another mount to hang. I can find a way to put a front wall in there. So it's like the metal is hanging behind the clear plexiglass. You can keep adding and adding and adding. I'm actually trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. Like you
Yeah.
can look at that thing and you can say, "This is it," and then you can also look at it and say, "Huh, I guess this is it."
Or like when you can customize it too.
Right.
I'll make it more special. Like the day of the hunt.
The day of the hunt. Right.
Like
Safari.
like like how like you got the lion head up, and it's like where you got it, when you shot it. You could like do like that as like the
Orlando
tournament and the day.
2025
Naga champ.
Naga champ. It's funny. Those are belts. I think you have the Naga belt. Or is that new
No,
breed belt?
I had the new
The
breed
new
belt,
breed
bro.
belt. Yeah.
Slightly better.
There you go.
No, I mean, no, only the only people get belts are the advanced divisions.
Hmm. Everybody else
So
still
that was
medals, right?
everyone gets medals. It's because that was an advanced
Because I have a
division.
new breed medal from that tournament. It was like 2022, I believe.
Oh yeah, you were
I
there.
was there. Yeah, yeah. There's a picture.
That was a fun
Yeah, it
day.
was good times. I think it was your birthday.
That was my
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Yeah, so they do, as far as new breed, they do belts for advanced divisions. Because I didn't expect it. I expected just to get a medal.
Mm-hmm.
I get my medals and stuff, and they hand me a belt. I was like, no, and I said my name again. They're like, yeah, you get a belt. It
Huh.
was advanced division. I'm like, oh,
You had
sweet.
one match?
No, I had two, and one of them was a heavyweight.
Oh, it was like an open
Or one of
class?
them, no, uh, it was like I signed up for a weight class. They moved somebody into the weight class, and then this other guy didn't have anybody in his, so they put him in ours. And so like it was like kind of janky because there was like I was brand new purple. There was a brown, and then like a heavyweight brown or purple in
You
it.
just got the purple in 22?
I was like, I was like relatively new purple. Like I didn't have a stripe yet
So you were 2.5 years in purple.
when I did that
No,
tournament.
no, like just in general. 2.5 years in the purple?
Yeah,
That's pretty quick.
yeah, but my blue belt took
Did
forever.
it?
I was blue belt for like 5 years.
Oh, no shit.
5 or 6 years. It was sorry, my dog was like acting all weird. I thought she's having a seizure or something. She's good. No, yeah, I don't know. I don't really remember. I just remember it was a fun day.
Because I'm already over 2 years in the blue.
Welcome to Supremacy, brother.
One stripe.
One stripe?
Yeah.
You gotta threaten to quit.
Nah, fuck that. I ain't going nowhere.
For all the listeners out there to jiu-jitsu, if you feel like you plateaued or you feel like you're at the next level and it's just not happening, threaten to quit. Just stop showing up for a week or two and see if the professor promotes you to get your ass back in there. It works. It's a pro tip.
I'm going to 10th planet. No gi only from this point on.
Just don't show up for a week or two and don't say anything and don't reply to the text.
I don't know. I get those text messages from Zach. When are you coming in? We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I don't. Are you signing in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something like 365 classes since last whatever.
I did that before too.
Yeah.
Scott and I were having like a competition between like promotions one time. Because him and I were like up there, like in the 300s.
Yeah.
And he was ahead of me. He had more than I did. But we were like counting them up every week. Being like, I'm at this. What are you at?
I don't think they have a reset. They just keep going, right?
They were supposed to reset. It was like supposed to be like a promotion counter. For their system, there's like in the back end of the system, it's supposed to tell them that like you've done like relatively enough classes to get a promotion.
Yeah, okay. I call bullshit on that.
I think it was, dude. I swear to you, I think it was like, I think it was like relatively low, like 120, 130
between promotions. Dude, I'm like
130 classes for every promotion, and I was at like I was like triple the number.
Dude, I'm definitely over 360 in there.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah, I know.
I could probably promote you, but I'm not gonna.
It's all good. It's all good.
Enjoy it. Fucking enjoy it. You want to be the guy who gets your belt, and people are like, finally.
Oh, no shit.
Rather than the guy gets your belt, and you're like, oh, that's what like. That's kind of like when I got brown. I was kind of like, really? Like, holy shit, this is going fast. You know. Like I wanted people when I got my purple, everyone was like, "Oh, finally!" Like, because I was a blue belt and I was giving people a hard time. And then, like, it's like when I went from purple to brown, I don't know if it was just I don't know. I didn't really get that as much of that reaction. It was pretty quick. We got kind of. I mean, that's like about the average time of a purple belt. I think 2.5 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
So like I was pretty much on like normal par. So. But now I'm like brown belt and I'm under the same thing. I'm like, I don't really. I want it to be like finally overdue, kind of like everyone else, you know.
I say end of this year.
I also want the time, like the time to like, because once it gets black, it gets legit. I don't care to get legit, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like I want
competitions get a lot harder, I think, at black, because you have people who are just getting the black, and then you have people who are like years in the black in the same group.
And then you get the black belts who are like super serious, like, you know,
right?
Taking this shit, like we said before, like super serious.
For sure, because it's especially if you get them like high in masters. Let's say you're like Andy, for example. You know, he's like 50, so he's like masters 5. I think 5. So by the time he gets a black belt, let's say he's master 6, and he gets in there with his black belt, he's got like megaton.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah. What the fuck do you do then?
I don't know. Tap.
I mean, it might be
You
fun.
know, it's
It
gonna be
might
a
be
good
more
time.
fun.
I'm just saying.
I I'm slowly transitioning more to like enjoying coaching.
Hmm.
I've always like wanted to become like a coach. I like so I'm like right now I'm really enjoying like watching Jake's matches and then like watching the people he's going against in his brackets and seeing what they do wrong and coming up with plans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like enjoyed like solving the puzzle
Does he
and being at a
does he accept the plan, or is it like I'm just gonna get on the bottom and I'm gonna sweep as soon as they try to submit me?
well, you saw at Tampa Open, the first match, no. And you saw the result. And then when he came out for the second match, I yelled at him. I don't know if you saw that, but I was yelling at him before the second match.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is the number one seed. This is a guy that you've been talking about for
He beat him.
all year. And I said, and this is what the fuck you're doing wrong. Like, I keep telling you to fucking put your knee up. I keep telling you to do this. And I keep doing that. You're doing this, this, and this. And we kind of like had like a back and forth a little bit. And then he went out there and he beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went against
The first guy
for
again.
however the first guy again, but implemented more of what we talked about. And then in certain parts stopped listening, but you know, it's kind of like I get like I get like a little bit of like competing and a coach yelling at you and you're like not right now.
I'm busy.
Like I get
I'm getting smashed over here.
yeah. Yeah, you're almost like it's like you're taking a leap of faith and you're exhausted as fuck. So like you're not really looking forward to failing. Like but yeah, I mean, he'll be good. He came up to me today actually before, and he's like, "You'll be happy because I decided I'm going to
Fight. Actually
do."
fight.
He's gonna do exactly what I've been arguing with him about for the past month. Like he got to the point where he wanted to do what he wanted to do and what he was comfortable doing,
Bottom half guard. That's what he's comfortable with.
flat, like lay
Yeah,
flat. And I'm
flatted
like,
out bottom half
I
guard.
was like, that's not it's like the good does not outweigh the bad outweighs the good in this
It's high
situation. So
risk.
I don't recommend it. Well, this is where I'm comfortable. Okay. Well, let me think about it. I will show you this, this, and this option, and that might be able to save your ass. But there are still parts of that game where you're high risk, high risk. You're putting yourself at like positions where it can go really good for you or really bad
Right.
for you. And I think a few other people got in his ear and told him. So like that's one thing I had to figure out. It's like, do I keep yelling at him and insisting to go my way? Or do I try to go his way and see it out and say maybe he has some weird fucking talent or senses in that position that makes him successful. Maybe people are like, this fucking idiot's laying flat, so I'm gonna take advantage of it. And really he's got traps. Like,
Right.
let's
That might
figure it
be a
out.
game. Right.
Or do I like let him see his thing out, fail, and then maybe we go back to like, okay, I was right. Now let's keep moving. I don't know. I mean, that's the fun part about coaching is it's just like, all right, like I got to think this problem out, and it gets really exciting live to like try to figure it out live, when
We'll
you're
see what
like,
happens. Right.
yeah. And I think this is like the beginning. I think I'm going to start in a way building a team and getting like more and more people that will like competition coaching and like me to analyze their shit and come up with plans. And I think this is like the beginning of like the next chapter.
Yeah. Need a team logo.
And
The very berries.
it's gonna be an acai bear.
There you go.
There we go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, bro. If you're team acai,
Yeah,
bro.
team acai, the very berries.
The very berries. Whatever you guys want to call it. If it sticks in your brain, then it's a win.
The fairy berries.
All right. I take that back. Fuck that. I was like, when I got that name in the gym, I was like, all right, it could be worse. I'll take it.
It's not bad.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of Kevins.
Are there? Wait,
And
who else is there?
when I signed up, there's like 3 every day, like in that class. So whenever they said Kevin, like all of us would walk off the wall. And I always wore blue. And my last name was Barry, so I thought I was gonna get Blueberry.
Blueberry. That's
And I'm like, oh, that's gonna be gay. This is gonna be rough. I'm brand new here, and this is what they
the
came up with.
blueberry.
And thank God one of the fucking Brazilian said acai, and I was like, oh, thank God. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll stick with
Yeah,
that.
that's not bad. Keep it.
All right, I accept it.
It's funny.
Now you're stuck with the Russian, no matter what.
Russian Dave, for sure. Although there's no other Dave in there.
That is funny.
I know. Is there another Dave? I don't know any other Dave in there.
There might. Oh, Dave Bammer.
Oh yeah, Bamber. Yeah, but he's a Bamber. He's not a Dave.
Yeah, we call him Bammer.
Yeah.
There's probably other Daves.
Evening class? I'm not aware of any Daves. Whatever. Russian Dave is good enough.
Yeah, just take it, man. I hope to see this thing grow, man. I'm excited. I hope nonetheless I live vicariously through you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, it's a trial and error. You gotta have fun, right? It's a game. So play the game, play the cards, roll with what happens.
Fails, do you have a backup plan?
No. I got no backup plan.
Really back to square one.
I don't know. Maybe my wife is gonna get another job. Maybe that's the backup plan.
She's gonna have to go.
She's gonna have to go to work.
Does she have a plan for that?
No, we have no plan. This is it.
Fucking love it.
This is
it's
it.
Like
if we fail, I'll have to come up with something else. Maybe I'll come up with a better frame and call it the reverse mount.
Ooh.
Hang it one way or the other. Maybe one side will be shiny and the other one will be matte, and we'll call it the reverse mount.
Maybe you turn metals into chandeliers.
Little shrines.
It sucks that like gyms, like when it like I don't feel like most gyms would be willing to put out the money for like displays for their students. Like if I was a gym owner, or if or when I own a gym, like I think it would be cool. Like I think that's like one of the main things I would put in my gym to attract people is like
Medals.
a cool display system for medals.
Yeah.
Like so that when people come in, like I mean, our medal wall, people talked about that shit. They love.
That was great. I remember it was great.
There's like,
why did we take it down?
I can't give you that answer. I have no idea.
I see it. I remember it looked great.
I know it's a sensitive subject at these points.
Is it?
I think they're talking about feedback. I think there's been a lot of feedback.
Yeah, there's been like two camps. People who are happy it's gone, and then
I don't know anyone I haven't heard one person say, "Oh, thank God they're gone."
Yeah. Except for the guy.
Except for maybe that wall doesn't hold dust anymore. I don't know.
I don't know. There's still dust in there. I mean, it's on top of the mats now.
Yeah, it's clean off the mats.
Right. It's on top of the clock and on top of the mats, and on top of the photos.
Yeah, pretty soon on top of your mounts.
Yeah, see, it's narrow. It's gonna be fine.
So if the mounts come out and they're successful, then I'll have to develop a mount duster.
A mount duster, yeah.
Collaboration.
There you go. The mount duster.
Yeah, man. But I got to start winding down over here. What time are we at? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, we're done. Good talk.
We out this bitch. Yeah, good talk, man. I'll see you at the gym tomorrow. And to all the guys that hung in there for this conversation, I appreciate it.
Yep. Bring the gi. We'll do our little tug and pull. The shit we learned the other day.
Can't be putting them secrets out there,
Yeah,
even though it's on Instagram now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, to all the listeners, especially the ones that make it all the way through to the 2.5 hour mark, I appreciate you. And this is for people. I think it's for people who like. Well, the way I like to look at it is, it's people who like to learn, and this is like the real inside behind trying to build shit and make your life better, you know. And that's the type of people I like to be around. That's the type of people I want to pertain to. So if you're still listening, keep your eyes tuned for the community I'd like to build for us. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, once it's ready, we'll do another podcast and we'll talk about it.
Yep.
All right.
Once it's perfect.
Once it's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good enough.
Once it's shipped.
Once it's shipped. Well, then it gets shipped. And then we'll talk about the feedback. And then so we'll probably do another podcast about this because, you know, the story isn't over. So once we launch and we start seeing reactions and maybe orders, then we talk about the next stage, expansion, and what it looks like as the next stage.
Us, brother.
All right.
I'll see you
Good
tomorrow.
talk. Holla.
Peace.